Glad to have everyone join us this morning, and we look forward to handling the business of the county. Call the roll. Commissioner Schindel. Here. Commissioner Dugan. Here. Commissioner Yower. Here. Sauce. Here. County Judge Rickenfeller, I'm also here, so we have everyone here, we have a quorum. Let's say a prayer first. Lord, we thank this beautiful day and this beautiful county, surrounded by these beautiful people. We want to do your will here today, to conduct the business of the county in a way that will make you proud, and make the people of our county proud, and that we can prove that business, government can be handled in a way that doesn't involve the kind of rancor and contentiousness that we've seen so amply demonstrated on a national scale and at times on a state scale. Let us conduct ourselves in a way that we will later be proud of. In your name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll start off by asking if we have some citizens to be heard.
Yes, sir, Judge, but I think they all want to wait until the appropriate agenda item.
That's fine. We can just do that when the agenda items arise. Okay, first, item number 6 is discuss, approve, disapprove, and nothing after that. So, does anyone want to address that? I guess not. All right, so we'll go on to the next item. We may have some discussion on this one. Discuss, approve, disapprove resolution requesting the Texas legislature to pass legislation, or if required, and I think it is, prepare and submit to the voters a constitutional amendment abolishing the office of Karnes County Treasurer, and that is authored by me. And I should be the one to kind of speak on this, and I'll try to do so. The county has encountered a great deal of difficulty in the last few months getting an audit completed. We are required to and do get an annual audit completed of our records, and the auditors are charged with the independent auditors. It's not performed by our county auditors. But the independent auditors are charged by examining the books and the records of the county treasurer's department and reconciling everything. Do we have the correct amount of money in the bank in accordance with the amount of money that's reflected in our county's financial records? What we note is being received is in the bank. What's shown in the bank is it noted in our system, our ledger system. They have been unable to get that done. I have been asking repeatedly for the county treasurer to get that done. I've been given repeated assurances it was being done, and was given an assurance, and the press was given a release that it had been done. I visited with the auditors performing this task as recently as Wednesday in their offices, and interviewed them at length with what they're finding, what's going on, how long it's going to take to get this done, and what the likely outcome is. They told me that the records were extremely hard to interpret, that there are deposits and receipts that are made out of order, They're not a little documented as what they are. There are numerous instances of deposits of funds that were given to the county months ago and not deposited for a long period of time. All of this has caused us to not be able to complete this audit as yet without negative treatment on that audit. Negative treatment on that audit will cost this county in the long run. In the long run, it's going to make it tougher to sell our bonds. We will have to pay higher interest on our bonds. And there are some other negatives that could come about that are all going to be negative financially for this county. I don't know. I am not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. During my career as a business litigation attorney, I've looked at lots of records of lots of companies and have tracked through financial records and I've worked on them. And used as witnesses and experts in that field, and had witnesses who were treasurers of large corporations, CFOs of large corporations. I kind of have a general sense how things are supposed to be done. But I'm not prejudging that, it's necessarily one person's fault or another. But what I think this has shown me is that it's a symptom of an outdated position. The county treasurer's qualifications in the state of Texas, keep in mind in Karnes County, that's somebody who has the authority to manage the books and manage a company with a budget of tens of millions of dollars. There is not a company in this world that would hire someone to handle that kind of a job without some pretty high qualifications. An accounting degree at the bare minimum, probably a CPA, and probably with years of experience dealing with these kind of financial issues. The county treasurer position under the Texas Constitution requires that you simply be 18 years of age, a resident of the state of Texas for 1 year, for 6 months, and a resident, 1 year, and a resident of the county for 6 months. That's not enough to qualify anybody to handle a business this complex and to handle a position this complex. The problems we're having now are a symptom, and that we've had before. This is not the first time, those of you who've been around here know, that we've had difficulties in the county treasurer's office. We've had multiple indictments come out of there. And so it's time to move forward. And that's been kind of my entire theory here in Karnes County is this is a key moment in time where we can move this county forward, govern it forward, and try to move ourselves from what the county was to what the county can be. And for that to happen, we have to have control of our financial affairs in the county. There's no doubt about that. Now, I want this discussion to stay away from a personal issue. It's not a personal issue. Ms. Lone and I have had a cordial relationship. I really didn't know her much until I took office. And I have no bones to pick with Bob Lone. She's fine as a person as far as I know. I do not think she's performed her job, but that's a different matter. But as I said, I think the position itself has outlived its qualifications. And we're going to continue to have a door open for more problems if this happens. If Bob Lone stood up to that, I'm not suspecting that's going to happen, but if she stood up and say, hey, for you guys, I'm out of here, and walks out and says she's not going to be the treasurer anymore, I would say let's vote on this. It doesn't change a thing. The systematic problem that exists with the Office of Treasurer is what we have to address. And therefore, that's what I'd like for us to do. I think the future, I think we need to pass a resolution to have the legislature put on, vote for, and then put before the voters of the state a constitutional amendment abolishing the office of treasurer in Karnes County, Texas. It's been done in several other counties, and I think we need to do it here. What takes place after that? Who takes charge after that? I have a recommendation, but I think the new county commissioners court and the new county judge ought to be the ones to make that decision. I'm not going to be here long enough, and I think that decision needs to be based on lots and lots of research and thought. It doesn't have to be a rash decision. My personal preference would be to get appoint a chief financial office of the county, to have an appointed official, and have that the county can determine whose office they ought to report to. It could be to the commissioners, it could be to the county judge, it could be to the county clerk, anybody you want, figure it out. And I think my personal feeling is it probably needs to remain independent from the county auditor, but that's something that they can discuss. But I think that's in the future. I think right now we need to determine whether or not we want to abolish this position. I think due to the fact that the way its qualifications are drawn up, it's going to have to happen, or we're going to have this problem again. It's not viable in problem as much as it is the qualifications and position problem. Commissioners, anything from you? We want to address that?
Yes, I'll make some comments.
Sharon?
Of course, we had this choice probably 20 years ago, and at that time I said, yeah, we should do away with the treasurer position. And of course, I was not quite as informed on how it would go or who would take that responsibility, but I also agree with you, it should not be just all turned over to one person like the county auditor. It has to be someone else taking responsibility. Now, I would like assurance that we can have an independent, qualified accounting firm or CPA to handle this, our finances. I don't know whether that's possible. I was in Austin this week at a legislative conference, and I talked to some people there, one of them Jim Allison, plus some others, to find out who we could have. And he said, I'm not sure, I have to check something. He didn't have time to check it, it was just so. Anyway, I want, if we do away with this office, we pass this today, I want assurance that we can have an independent CPA or someone do it, as far as the county official, if you have another county official, elected official take over, or just not helping anything, I don't think, because we don't have a qualified person.
Yeah, no, the other thing we do is set up an office, say like setting up a personnel director, an IT director, and have that person discharge those responsibilities, but they would need to report to an elected county official. I'm not sure which one, but then to maintain that level of independence, but to get someone in that office, they need to be here. It can't be just some CPA out in San Antonio or something, but someone who can occupy the office, become familiar with not only the finances, but the structure of the county. But that person would need to have certain qualifications. Accounting degree, I think, will be bare minimum. Probably need more than that. But I would suggest that we pass this resolution, that we also have a task force set up to study what the available alternatives are for the, for the replacement of the treasurer's duties. If those alternatives turn out to be something the county thinks they can't do, they can always retract their resolution and go on with the treasurer's office. I wouldn't recommend it, but because I think almost any solution will be better than what we have. But I do understand what you're saying. But I think we should be able to structure that in some way that would be satisfactory to everybody. But there's more research that needs to go into that. I would have spent more time researching the replacement myself, but we had this budget issue I think the last few weeks. So there we go. All right.
Well, do you think that he might need more time or to research this before we pass this thing today?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the first step we have to take is resolving that we're going to abolish the office. It's been done by other counties.
What was the last year that it was done? 1987?
No, I believe that actually the state did the state treasurer in 95, but the
87.
Yeah, it may have been 1987 when it was last time, but that's correct. And so that is a potential resolution. It doesn't resolve all the problems we have. We've got 3 other things going on to try to uncover exactly what's happened, why, and what kind of responsibilities should be out there for that. But I'm just saying that the position itself, allowing somebody to be elected to a position of that level of responsibility with no qualifications is asking for trouble.
What's the qualifications to be a county judge? It doesn't say 18 years, it doesn't say you have to be an attorney.
Yeah.
It's
And
the same way it's written.
Perhaps they should abolish my position too. It's I have long thought that we have to amend the Constitution, and as long as we have judicial roles, we ought to have a law degree. As long as they're going to have those hearing cases, I think we ought to all have law degrees. Because we make rulings on evidence, things like that, and you're shooting in the dark if you haven't been to law school.
I still think to resolve this before any decisions are made is to have a complete full audit of county finances. You're pointing a finger at one person, and there's another department that does the books also. And I think this is being done before. This will never be cleared up until a complete full audit is done of this county. The books have been out of order for years. It was out of order before Miss Vi Malone came here.
If you would, stay calm if you can.
Well, I'm just very upset because the citizens and concerned citizens signed a petition to have a complete full audit, and it was just ignored.
Absolutely not. Ignore it. And I told you earlier, there are certain things going on to get to the bottom of this. They're covered by attorney-client privilege. I really don't want to jeopardize any investigation or anything that is going on by discussing it and jeopardizing attorney-client communication, so I'm not going to do it. You don't have to trust me. If you want to think, oh, he's just lying, he's ignoring us, all that, you can, but that's not the truth. Okay? We are proceeding right along. There's no targeted person. We're looking at the county's finances in detail to see what's going on. Okay? I can't give you anything more than that, but I can tell you that that is occurring. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, looking at this, you're looking at doing a resolution to the legislature, and then it has to be voted on by the public. What is your timeline for something to actually happen here? Even if you vote this, that is not Meaning that Vi is going to be gone, or
No,
what is our timeline
She'll be here for a while. No,
once this is addressed today?
The office of the treasurer will not be changed until at least November 2015. Here's the process. We have to pass a resolution asking the legislature to consider and pass that legislation to have this constitutional amendment. It will require a 2/3 vote of both houses in the legislature. If they vote it, then it gets put on the next constitutional ballot, which would probably be in November of 2015. And so we're looking at a while.
Long term.
That we're working in the short term as well, but that, to me, it's a long-term answer. It's like I said, it's not the Bible-owned removal
Right.
action. This is something to fix a position. Okay?
I agree. I guess my deep down question is, this is gonna take a long time to resolve. What are we doing today that is going to get that audit completed so we don't affect our credit rating, those kinds of things? What is that timeline?
We have had to spend a great deal of money to get auditors to come in here from a CPA firm in San Antonio to go through the treasurer's books and try to reconcile the bank statement to the county's ledger, the computerized ledger, okay? Where you show receipts in one, it should be in the other, right? If you show a deposit in the bank, that should show up right away on the ledger. And the same amounts and all that stuff. And that's what we're working on. It's a slow task. They've been working on this for weeks. And at the same time, there is another audit taking place, okay? And that's all I can tell you about right now. But it is in nature that will, it's a totally different type of investigation that will involve looking at different documents and to try to figure out the who, what, and where, what's going on, which is what Ms. Plasky's been asking to have done.
Absolutely.
Okay? And all of this is costing us a fortune.
Which should never have happened if the county auditor was on top of it at the very beginning.
I can't control what's received in the system, Charlene. That's up to the treasurer.
What is your deal to audit it and correct it? You're
I
supposed
do.
to work with her.
I do. In fact, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, I gave her 6 receipts that were erroneously entered to correct. I do audit everything in this county
Why wasn't the $50,000 found?
because it's not receipted in the system. That's where.
And why wouldn't it count at the very beginning? I mean, it should be from month to month ballot.
We don't reconcile the bank statements. That's not one of our statutory duties. That's statutory duty of the county treasurer.
Yes, but you're to see if her books are not in balance with yours, where the problem is.
Thank you, Betty.
That's the way when I was county treasurer, and Shelby, your sister worked for me. You should know how we balance to the penny.
Yeah, I know y'all used to balance from the penny, and I've also heard that there were the books. There was a set of books for the computer, and there were a set of books for the.
I would never, turn
But
loose
I know y'all
my
balance. Y'all
handbooks.
balance.
I would
But
never turn loose of
Something
my
that the judge said a while ago, it's kind of, it flagged in my mind is that we've had problems since you left, Charlene. I mean, it's been not pointing talking to you, but after you retired, every auditor, every treasurer since then, there's been some type of an issue, correct?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Okay, and then I'm wondering is if, and you say we need an audit, and I kind of agree with you on that part, but how far did we go back? Did we go back? I mean, how far do you go back? Do you go back to when you retired, and then from then forward, you know, double check everything? Because, you know, there's been issues through each one. I don't know if, I met with the Kleinsmith's people and Senator Zaffari's people Tuesday, and I asked them about this process, and they said, well, that you would have to, you know, like the judge is saying, put a constitutional amendment, and they did some research for me, and then they turned around and sent me an email and said that is correct. But everybody I've talked to, this weekend I was in Austin, and I talked with just several judges and several legal experts with TAC. And TAC said that whatever you do, you know, so they would oppose, right away, they would oppose removing a treasurer from, abolishing the treasurer's office because of it's a statutory duty by the Constitution of Texas. But they also said that whatever you do, and I think Tracy and the judge and Pete may have said it already, but we have to be very careful about what we do and how we do it. In 1995, the state got rid of their state treasurer, and that's how the comptroller came about. So, some counties have gotten rid of abolished their office of treasurer, and usually it's been after somebody has passed away and there's nobody to put into the situation or something like that, or somebody's resigned. They take an election and then they resign and say, I want to abolish the office of treasurer. That's been done. But the given here is that we have to do something here within Karnes County to correct this issue. Either, if you want to say, either a better case of auditing each department, but I know for a fact the auditor on her behalf has issued several recommendations on to correct some issues, and I don't know if they've been ignored or they may have not been ignored. I don't know, but we have there is an issue here. Everybody here in this room will agree. And Judge, if we do pass this thing, is there a time that you could, if we would change our mind, if something would happen, where we could rescind the resolution?
Up to the very moment that the legislature votes on it. You know, if there's a change of heart, up to the very moment the legislature passes the constitutional amendment in both houses, it can be changed. I personally can't imagine what change would take place that would suddenly make me believe that anybody 18 years old who lives around here can occupy this office, and we're not going to continue to have problems. It defies logic. This county has had a series of these issues, and it keeps coming up and keeps coming up. And when you, what's the old definition of insanity is, you know, keep doing the same thing and expect different results. I would like to think we're not crazy, so I think we need to try something different. I think we need to get the message out right away. We want to get rid of the treasurer's office, and then we need to work very hard, very carefully, to make sure that the structure we set up in its place will work, will be responsive, will be governed, will be examined, all of that. Now, as far as the auditor's office goes, the auditor is put in place by and reports to the district judges. Not to me, not to anybody else in the county. And the district judges are the ones who decide what kind of job she's doing, and they can remove her. If you have any complaints about the auditor, you should address that to the district judges, not to this county. We can't do anything about it. And personally familiar with both the district judges that serve this area, and I think they're both good, smart, equitable people, ethical people. And I think you ought to some extent, trust their judgment. But there may be facts you know about that you want to bring to their attention. And if you do, I'm sure facts that you have that you think are disturbing, they'd be willing to listen to. But we don't have any authority over the auditor. She reports to the district judges. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. If all this passes and you do hire someone that's got the education for this, I want to voice my opinion that they should not be an elected official appointed, because if the same thing, even though they're more knowledgeable, the same thing could happen, and it would be easier to get rid of them if they were appointed than if they were elected.
That's my proposal, is it being an appointed official. The key is that person will have to work for some department. And what we have to do is determine what department should they work for. Who do they report to?
And that department has to sit on them to get it done right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, look, folks, county government is all about two different things. One is getting qualified people to run for office. Sometimes we have people sit around and say, oh, that's the sorriest person in the world sitting in that office. They don't do any good. They don't work hard. They don't know what they're doing. Why don't you run? I guess I was as guilty as anybody of that. Sat there for years, never ran for office. My dad always used to challenge me on that, but I never did. But I got a chance to do it. That running is the best of all worlds. But the other thing is to make, y'all are good examples. People are trying to hold the government responsible, communicating. I may not agree with everything you all say, but I'm here to listen to you. And you come, and we've tried to make, since I've been on this court, this process as open as it needs to be. You can talk, you can come see me in my office, whatever you want to do, that's fine. And then we try to reach a consensus. I really don't want to use the U.S. Congress or even our state legislature as an example of how we should govern, because that's government warfare. And people slamming each other and thinking that anybody who disagrees is either stupid, crazy, or evil. And, never thinking that people who want the same good objectives can have differing ideas how to get there. Okay, so those are all things I'd like for the county to do and work on. And part of it's going to be, like I said, good people stepping forward and running for these offices and making an effort. I admire all of you, whether I like your ideas or not. I admire all of you to come forward and run for these offices and try to do something about it. So,
Judge, would it be fair for Ms. Malone's in the audience? Would it be fair for her to address the court?
certainly, if she wants.
I'd like to say something.
Well, I'm just waiting for everybody else to through with their comments. And I've got a little speech, and some of the issues you have already addressed, so if I sound redundant, I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
I just want you to be aware that the County Treasurers Association has already been informed, as well as members of TAC concerning this matter. The County Treasurers Association of Texas has a full-time lobbyist as well as a legislative task force, and they will be in Austin in full force fighting this. Are the three of you that are on Commissioner's Court now willing to take this all the way? Are you willing to go to Austin to the committee hearings to say why it needs to be done? Because come January, the judge and Commissioner Schindel will be gone, and if you pass this, you three will be the ones on court supporting it. The process will be long and expensive. I don't think county dollars should be spent trying to abolish a county office. Do you realize this will be a statewide vote, not a county one? Which means I will have about 245 campaign managers in each of the counties that have treasurers going out and telling people to not vote for this. In 2007, the Harris County Commissioners tried to have the office abolished, and a proposed constitutional amendment went nowhere due to the efforts of the County Treasurers Association of Texas. And this is part of, you already answered this. Y'all have a game plan of what happens if this passes. Who will be responsible for the hiring and firing of this person? You have to have checks and balances, and that is why the auditor's office shouldn't have nothing to do with the process, and you've already said that, and I agree with that. The two offices need to stay separate. An elected official has the taxpayers to answer to. An appointed one does not. You would take away that right from the voters by doing away with an elected office. And what kind of education does anyone have to have for being a commissioner? Judge, you're the budget officer. What is your background in preparing the budget? Do any of the JPs have education in judicial law? If the state of Texas doesn't require anything other than being 18, being able to vote, and live in the state or county for 6 months, what makes you think that the legislature would approve this over education requirements? We all have required to have CEUs every year. I have to have 20 for my treasurer's duties, 15 for my investment officer certification, and every other year, 10 more hours in the Public Funds Investment Act in order to invest public funds. You're not going to find someone with an accounting degree to do what I do and pay them what I pay. I have 3 departments within my department, the treasurers, the payroll, and HR. You will have to create 2 new departments if this happens, which will cost the county a whole lot more money than what you budget my office for. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you need to spend it. I do not have a problem with hiring a person with an accounting background if that is what you want that needs to happen to help me in my office. Allow the funds to be in my budget and I hire someone who can assist me. I will gladly take the extra help and knowledge to help run my office. You need to think long and hard over this. The legislature has not abolished the county treasurer's office since 1987. This is not new to Texas. Other counties have tried, and it doesn't get the statewide support necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have, may I make a statement?
Yes, sir.
I think you're looking at the wrong fox and the wrong hen house.
Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't made a comment on this. I've just been hearing everything, and basically the commissioners and the judge has stated everything so far that I can't really say anything else about it. Doesn't make any more sense than what they've already explained. But I would say that as of right now, I know that Charlene said that wait for the audit to come in and find out what's going on. I just don't think as of right now, that in my opinion, I would be ready to abolish the position of the treasurer.
Thank you.
I think we need to have a complete audit and do the same. I'm with Commissioner Lawson.
okay.
Tracy, we
Bob?
can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you don't get this into this legislative session, you'll have to wait 2 more years.
That's correct.
And you'll stretch this thing out forever and forever. Because as you all probably remember, this was tried a couple of times here without doing that. Because it couldn't be done. It couldn't be done because of the time that the legislature was meeting and the time that we tried to do this whole thing. And so, but you got that same problem, and there are some sacrosanct timelines when you start to file this and get ready to file it. And they may even reject it because they don't understand your Texas drawl, okay? And so you have that to contend with. And while it would be nice to have the audit done, you may not get it done this year or in this session because of the audit taking so much time. And I don't understand why the audit would be necessary to get this done. It won't make any difference to the legislature. They'll just look at it as a...
I guess the audit, see, we're mixing the apples with the oranges.
Right.
The audit will show the individual defalcation of duty that is taking place in our current treasurer's position. The position I'm taking is, even if we had a CPA great treasurer in place, we'd still be at risk. We would still be at risk that we're going to have the next person step up that is not there. We've seen the examples. I mean, we've been slapped around as a county by bad performance in the treasurer's office. I don't remember Ms. Blotsky's term, but I've never heard any complaints about it, so I assume hers was good. But since that time, it's been disastrous. And I just think that that's, all right, here's a warning signal. It's time to do something about that. And I think we delay it, we don't get rid of the problem. We may find out specifically who did what, but I can assure you, I've seen the books. I've reviewed them with the CPAs. It's a shambles. You wouldn't keep your personal checkbook that way. And if you want to wait and see them, go ahead, but what difference does that make as to whether we should abolish this antiquated position or not, and replace it with a position that requires qualifications? Now that's, like I said, my position, I wouldn't care if I was not the treasurer today or tomorrow. It wouldn't matter to me. I'd still want this thing passed. I'm not trying to go get by. I'm trying to stop the situation that keeps coming up. As far as the Treasurers Association coming out, they're kind of like the NFL Players Association. It doesn't matter what one of those guys does, they go out there and defend them. And that's their constituency. I expected that. I expected it fully. And they may be able to beat that legislative effort down, and we can't get anywhere with it. Is that a reason not to try it? Because the union is going to go to war with us over this action that we're trying to get done for the benefit of our county? I don't think so.
In addition, Your Honor, I think the abolishment of a position is not dependent upon who's in the office or what kind of services that person gave.
Correct.
It is a redundant office. Everything that happens there has already been gone through by the auditor's office, or pretty much. And it's just redundant. And you're spending money for nothing. And with the problems, it really gets expensive. So you need to get on it and get it done. Get her done, as the
I agree.
TV says.
Judge, I have one more question. What would it take to change the qualifications for treasurer?
Constitutional amendment.
I'm sorry?
A constitutional amendment.
But since, isn't, what you're trying to do, isn't that the constitutional amendment too?
Ours would be a constitutional amendment limited solely to the county treasurer of Karnes County. And, but I think the qualifications for a county treasurer are a statewide qualification. I don't believe we can change that. Folks, I'd like to do it. I'll make a motion that we pass this resolution requesting the Texas legislature to pass legislation which will then allow submitting to the voters a constitutional amendment abolishing the office of Karnes County Treasurer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I oppose.
All right. We have 3 ayes and 2 nays. Passes, I believe.
Good deal.
I want to say something. I don't think, and I'm speaking out there, but I don't think Commissioner Dudnick should be allowed to vote on anything after what he did.
All right, now.
I really don't.
All right. Let's try to stay with the topics and not
I
make
really
personal.
don't.
Let's not make personal attacks, man. Let's
There's
be
been an outside
quiet.
audit for that too.
Okay. Now, let's go to number 8. Discuss. Pardon, 7. I've got a misnumbered. Discuss action, project, delivery method for Karnes County EMS building. Shelby, you authored that. We're gonna have a presentation on Ms. Daly.
Went to the, Mr. Kelly and I and, Mr. Ebram drove down to Fort Lavaca, looked at their EMS facility. We also contacted people from Rockport Aransas County EMS and their facility. Found out some interesting things. The facility in Rockport, Aransas County was built by a strictly donation. And come September 1, Aransas County EMS will be out of business. They cannot afford to pay for the building. I met with Judge Pfeiffer in Port Vaca. They built their building in 2010. And they built it at a prime time because they had people in that county that needed work. They were building contractors and stuff. And Rexco was a building that was a company that, in order to keep their workers, in order for them to keep the doors open, they built that building at cost. I mean, strictly just, there was no profit made in that building. To build that building was right at $1 million. Judge Pfeiffer told me today that if they decide to build that building, it would be almost like 1.8, maybe $2 million. It's a well-designed building, and it was a building that was, I think, would you say, Mr. Kelly, about 10,000, 15,000 square feet, something like that?
Just a little under 10,000.
10,000.
Is that bigger than what your plan is?
Yes.
Okay.
We, so I, talking with the judge and other people, made comment here a while back about the way you could bid a project, and talked to Miss Daly and asked her to put a PowerPoint together so everybody could see exactly some of the delivery methods and way to bid and build this building could be done. So, Lorraine.
Hello.
Point.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We prepared, as Commissioner Dudnick said, we prepared this presentation to give you an overview of some different project delivery methods for the Karnes County EMS project. And Commissioner Dudnick also asked for me to please talk about the construction manager at risk project delivery method, which has a guaranteed maximum price. So an overview of what we'll be talking about this morning is, we'll talk about overview of various project delivery methods once you've already secured and contracted with your architect. There's a traditional lump sum bid, competitive seal proposals, and construction manager at risk. And then we'll go over some of the construction manager at risk definitions, characteristics, pros and cons, and considerations, and then how to evaluate best value for the county tax dollars. What is a project delivery method? Project delivery method is how we plan, design, and build a project, the process of this that occurs. Procurement is, of course, regulated by statute. And when you're a county government, you have to follow the procurement requirements for the state of Texas and the county. And procurement is your strategy for designing and constructing your facility. And they're different in the private and, of course, public entities. It's also the means of contractually communicating expectations and basis of reimbursement or payment between your professionals and those that are working for you. So how you procure your project creates contractual relationships between those people that are working for you, from your architect all the way down to your subcontractors on the project. And then it's also the process of managing how the project will be planned, designed, and built. So there's components to it. It's the whole process of planning, designing, and building your facility. The slide's a little bit dark, but the traditional design build, what we did is we prepared graphs to kind of show you the relationships between those, the entities that would be working with you. So at the top we have the owner, and on the left and right side here we have the traditional design bid build, and then we have competitive sealed proposals. And on both of these slides, the top is the owner, on the right hand side is your architect or engineer, and then below that owner, the box below the owner is your general contractor. So the architect has a relationship with the owner, and we contract with the owner, and then the contractor, the general contractor, contracts with the owner, and the architect acts as a liaison representing the owner's interest to make sure that the project is built in accordance with the plans and specifications that are prepared in meeting with and reviewing with the owner. Below the general contractor are the subcontractors. And the general contractor contracts with the subcontractors who actually build your building. So you have your design phase, and then you have your bidding phase, and then you have your construction phase. And on both of these methods, you have the same phases and you have the same contractual relationships. The difference is on the traditional design bid build model, you select your general contractor strictly based on price, not on qualifications. And the competitive seal proposals model introduces being able to select based on not only price, but also qualifications of your general contractor. Where's that projector, Kristen? Where is it? Okay. There we go. Okay. So construction manager at risk is a little bit different. There's a lot of the same components in a construction manager at risk, but there are some differences. In the construction manager at risk model, your owner contracts with your architect, and you have a direct contractual relationship, the architect's representing the interest of the owner, but then the owner also contracts with somebody called a construction manager, and they have a direct contractual relationship with that construction manager. Both of these are selected based on qualifications. The construction manager is also selected based on the proposal requirements that the statute requires, and that has them submit not only their proposed percentage of overhead and profit as well as what their general condition cost will be. So you're selecting not only based on qualifications for your construction manager, but also on what it's going to cost you to have them manage that job for you. One of the benefits of this is the construction manager takes the place of the general contractor. So you're not paying extra to have a construction manager in place. He's taking the place of the general contractor, but you have the benefit of him working directly with the architect during the design phase and construction document phase and getting his input on certain things that we'll go over a list of those on some of the next slides that affect your project. They affect the local market, the subcontractors, and the materials and the systems that are selected. So you have his input during that time. Then the construction manager is the one that contracts with the different subcontractors. So you have the same relationship there as far as the construction manager is still responsible. However, another benefit of this method is those subcontractors are developed based on big packages that are put together based on your local economy and what's happening right now. So an example would be the owner, the architect, and the construction manager sit down and evaluate who are your local air conditioning people, who are your local plumbing people, who is interested in bidding this project and can give the best value for the county. And we can structure the bid package to be able to work with that. A lot of times, an example would be what used to be Division 15 and now 23 in our CSI language as architects and contractors. Air conditioning and plumbing. A lot of times one bid package is put together for air conditioning and plumbing because a lot of the commercial contractors do both. But if we found in this area you have a strong local plumber that's able to bond and bid the job and they're interested in the job, we could package a plumbing package separate from the air conditioning package. And then we could say, okay, if you want to do both, you have to bid them separately, but then offer the county a cost savings if they do both with you. So there's flexibility in structuring bid packages to take advantage of the local market, the local economy, and what's happening in your local area. Another item is the bids are transparent. So with the traditional design bid build and the competitive seal proposals, you get one cost. It's a cost from the general contractor, $1 million to build your project, or $1.2 million, or whatever it is. That's your bid. On this one, you're going to see the bid packages that are built. You'll find out what does it cost to bid your plumbing, what does it cost to bid your air conditioning. whichever packages are put together. And again, those are strategically done. You don't want too many little packages, but you want to spread the work out, and you want to work with the local opportunities and economy and contractors to be able to get the best value for the county. Those are transparent. You see what the cost is, and then you'll work with the construction manager on selection of those subs based on statutory requirements on, is it the best price, the best value, are they qualified, can they do the job? Another item that is a benefit to this is if there's a savings from that subcontractor, since it's transparent, that savings goes back to the owner. So if the subcontractor says, hey, if you use my metal building, and it's determined by the owner and the professionals that metal building manufacturer is equal to exactly what was specified, and it'll provide the best value for the county, that savings is transferred on to the owner, whereas, because it's all transparent, whereas if you're in the first two methods, that savings can be just go to the general contractor, because you don't have the ability to see the cost of the subcontractor's price. You're just looking at the contractor's price, and if he offers savings, it'll be what he tells you his savings is. So there's a benefit to that method. There's some other benefits that on larger projects that you are able to, while you're designing, you could start construction. I don't know that that would help us here on the EMS other than maybe getting the demolition done early. We could do that as a separate bid anyway, but it'd be more effective to do that as a separate bid package under a construction manager at risk. But you could start you can select bid packages, and you could bid out underfloor plumbing and site work and things that you wanted to start early while you were still designing the roof and the walls and things that you're still working on design. So again, the construction manager selected based on fees, general conditions, and qualifications, and you would follow the procurement requirements that are in the state of Texas. So what would you expect from your construction manager that you would get over and above if you were just doing traditional general contractor? They provide constructability reviews. So if we're looking at a certain structural system, what's going to cost less in Karnes County? Because those are the things that we're running into. We have to work with the market of what's happening in Karnes County right now. They provide detailed cost estimates during design, and they give you a guaranteed maximum price. So this is when they say the CM at risk. There's a CM agency where they just act as your agent. The CM at risk, they actually give you a guaranteed maximum price when the design is complete. So you know your square footage, you know your materials, you know those things that are going to affect your cost, but they guarantee the price to you before the construction documents are complete. And they do that based on meeting with the owner, meeting with the architect, and having established the criteria for basing that guarantee maximum price. So for example, we would all decide we want a certain type roof with a 25-year warranty. We don't want a screw-down roof that's going to leak in 10 years. We want a metal roof that's standing seam with a 25-year warranty. So you develop those performance requirements, and the price is guaranteed based on the plans at the time that the design is complete, before the construction documents are done, and before it goes out to bid by the subcontractors. Now, of course,
guarantee they'll pay you if they default on that.
Yes, sir. It is guaranteed. It's bonded. So if they go over, then they eat it. It is. But again, if you change the requirements, if you say, okay, well, we're going to do a 50-year warranty on the roof, naturally you have to stay within those components that are established. But these are all performance-based requirements that are established, and then we work together. As the construction documents are being completed, we send them our drawings and we say, okay, this is where we're going, and they make sure that yes, the building is going to come in within their guaranteed maximum price.
Is the architect and construction manager a different entity?
Yes, sir. That's what's important on this one. If you look back at that chart, is they both contract with the owner, so their professional representation is of the owner. We work together, though, for the owner's best interest. So you still have your same contract relationship. It's similar to your other two models, where the construction manager, though, takes the place of the general contractor. So You have your GMP, guarantee maximum price, guarantee before the construction documents are complete. You could start construction before the design's 100% complete. I believe it brings the best subcontractors and the best prices to the project. It helps you control cost and budget. The construction manager is taking the business risk. There's financial guarantees. It's a bonded guarantee maximum price. And the construction manager and the architect both act in the client's best interest because our contract is with the client, with Karnes County.
Does the construction manager provide a bond, or does every subcontractor provide a bond?
The construction manager provides the bond, and the statute will decide whether or not the subcontractors have to provide the bond. So that gets into something that legally, your county attorney as well as your consulting attorney that y'all have been using on construction contracts, he would advise you on that and make sure you stay within the statute on everything that you do. So on the the work that they do with the architect prior to starting your construction is what they call pre-construction services. And on the slide, I touched on a lot of them. It's more than just an estimate and a schedule. So right now, I've actually gone to contractors, instead of just going to the programs we've used in the past and we come up with a cost per square foot budget for you, I've actually gone to contractors and asked them, based on what you see, give me real numbers, and we've done that for you. So we've gone a little more detailed than in the past. However, this is even more detailed. This is not just an estimate and a schedule. It's developing a guaranteed maximum price, developing the bid packages, purchase process. They communicate. Everybody works together as a team from the very beginning, and then you already have that team established and that relationship established before you even start construction. They do the quality management, they do the testing and commissioning, they look at weather, they look at scheduling, site logistics, constructability reviews, all of that. So it's a lot more than just okay. So pros and cons. Everything has cons and everything has pros. I believe the CM at risk has more pros than cons. But the pros are it allows you to select the most qualified builder with cost containment. It provides pre-construction services that work on the team concepts with the architect and the owner. The constructability reviews during the production of the construction documents. Opportunity to fast track if you so desire. It transfers the responsibility and significant risk from the owner to the construction manager at risk for the entire construction effort, including the subcontracts, administration, coordination, cost, and schedule. So your CM at risk is the one at risk for that. They're responsible for each of the construction subcontractors for the coordination, any delay or impact on the overall construction. They would have the ability to self-perform if they needed to stay within their GMP. The owner retains the control of design quality. So you still are setting the standard of quality of the documents and what is being built for you. It enables us to gain the builder's input to design phasing, logistics, and value management decisions are increased during the design. And it gives you opportunities for bid strategies and inflationary materials. For example, if you knew steel was going to be going up at a certain time, you could put out a steel bid package quickly and take advantage of locking that price in early if it could affect you, and it gives you some change flexibility. Cons, the price isn't guaranteed at the time of selection. If you remember earlier on this slide, they're not giving you a guaranteed maximum price when you select them, but they're giving you what their percentage of their fee will be, as well as their general condition cost, and they're giving you their qualifications. So you're selecting based on qualifications and what their overall fee and general conditions will be for them to manage the project for you. And then and we've done it both ways, if the contract includes a savings split, the construction manager could attempt to expand the budget or the GMT to create future savings. So that's something, and we've done it both ways, but that's something that the county would need to look at. If you want to offer a savings split, then you need to make sure, would need to make sure that the construction manager, the numbers that we're getting for your guaranteed maximum price are real numbers, and there's not any built-in potential for building in any savings split. So with the construction manager, we believe that you get the lowest cost, you get the best value versus the lowest cost. So for example, your general contractors are about a 9% cost of your overall construction cost. So you're paying 9% to somebody to manage 91% of your construction cost. With the construction manager at risk, you get the best value because you're hiring a qualified individual to do all of that management for you versus the general contractor, which is not necessarily based on qualifications. Could be, but not always.
What is the construction manager's fee?
I've seen them anywhere between, and it depends on the size of the project, but from 3.5% to 9%, 9 or 10%. So again, that's where when you procure, that's one of the criteria that is solicited on your RFP and RFQ. So in my opinion, it really does just, you're swapping your GC out for your CM. And that's what my experience has been. Things that we found as we've used CM at risk, we find that the best performers at CM at risk are some of the best performers at the other two methods. So in other words, a lot of general contractors will go in and do the CM at risk type contract, and they're good at both of them. There are state procurement laws that you have to comply with. We need to make sure we allow enough time for review and approval of the guaranteed maximum price, and make sure that is tracked and monitored. We need to make sure that the subcontractor selection process by the CM and owner approval of that is established up front. Agree on the subcontractor selection criteria process early so we can make sure that we make those bid packages work to your benefit. Clearly define what's included and excluded from general conditions. This is an important one because remember, they're giving you a fee, which is their profit plus their general conditions. The general conditions is what it costs them to run that job. Their job superintendent, their insurance, their bond, all of that. Are you including, we've done it both ways, but a lot of times on larger projects, definitely we do not allow them to include the cost of their overhead at their main office. It's just the cost of the overhead at the job site. On smaller projects, that needs to be discussed further, but it's important up front to make sure that that's evaluated.
Aside from guaranteeing the price, does the construction manager also warrant the construction result product?
He would, just the same as the general contractor, yes sir, he would. He's responsible for the quality of that project, and he's responsible for the overall warranty and guarantees.
And will bond amount include an actual amount to cover that, or is that just relying on his solvency?
Well, your performance and your payment bond covers the performance and the payment of the contract, the same as if it was a general contractor project.
Not warranties. In other words, if you have failure of the building, some segment of the building down the line, his warranties on that would be limited to his own personal assets, right?
You're asking a question that the attorneys probably need to, when you have a judge as an attorney, you're getting into things. We have not run into that in the past, and we've been very blessed. We haven't had to, so I can't answer that, but that's something that, it's the same, I do know it's the same as the GC, so whatever you would be getting with the general contractor, the other two, you would be getting with the CM, but I don't know the answer to that one. So the general conditions can be proposed a couple ways. They can be, well, we're just going to pass off all our general conditions to you, and we want a cost plus a fee on top of that, which we recommend not doing because you literally get a receipt for every pencil and every piece of paper, and you're spending 90% of your time going over. It's a very small amount of cost, so it's much better for everybody to just go ahead and get a lump sum of what the general conditions will be. Draft a total project schedule, not just the construction schedule, so take into account the completion of the design, the construction documents, an overall project schedule so that the owner has a real schedule of when they will be taking occupancy of that building. and then tell the construction manager what the entire project budget is, and then what they're responsible for. So in other words, if you were not gonna have furnishings and fixtures as part of that contract, they need to know that. So clearly define what they're responsible for. So determine the best value of your project delivery method. Factors to consider are project size and complexity. Normally CM at risk, we would do it on a much larger project. What lends itself to being a good model here is where the market is, what you're dealing with your market. Time allocated for construction, competitiveness and current local construction markets. So that's to me the prime reason, excuse me, that we would be looking at this. Kristen, technical assistance, please. And availability of contractors and subcontractors in the local market. So again, that's one of the prime reasons I believe this model is good for us. And then you look at these factors and decide what's the best value, what gives the county the best value.
It seems to me your recommendation is that the construction manager's on for this project.
Sir. Based on our experience, what we've experienced here, I believe that it would be the recommendation, it would be our recommendation, yes, sir.
What's the state of the plan, building? Are they construction ready, bid ready, or not?
The plans are, well, and can I just go ahead and hand those out to you now? Or we had to redesign the project based on the requirements from the owner to locate the building where the existing building is, instead of trying to build it without demolishing the existing building. It saved money and it was a better layout. And we came back to you to review and approve the schematic design. I believe it was last month, and at that time we needed permission to go and talk to Judge Stewart about having her space, because that was also added to the project. So we have redone your floor plan, and we are almost finished with the design development. Now, we did go and meet with Judge Stewart, and we revised her space a little bit, because previously we just went based on what the commissioner said, just put this in there so we can get an idea of what it'll cost, and then we can go to the court. So we redesigned her space a little bit. I had to add 2 linear feet to the building to fit in the things that she was looking for, so her space went up by 84 square feet. But we were also told to convert the wash bay into a full enclosed bay, and so that allowed us to adjust things a little bit in the bay, and we were able to save 200 square feet. So our building is actually 117 square feet less overall, but again, we're also swapping some finished square footage for bays, so we need to look at the cost impact of that. But overall, we were able to reduce the square footage just a little bit. So we are almost complete with design development and ready to finalize, the construction documents. So if you're going to make this decision, getting the construction manager on board now will be very beneficial. I have been, as I told you, I've been working with a contractor because of the cost, to make sure that what we're doing is going to be the most cost effective. However, he doesn't have a contractual relationship with you, so he can tell me, when things come in, I'm sorry, Lorraine, we made a mistake. I'm sorry, Lorraine, we misjudged that. There's no guarantees. If you do the CM at risk, you have that guarantee. So did I answer your question? We're almost done with design development and working into, and I've been doing construction documents at the same time, pulling out my details. However, I haven't told my engineers to start their redesign process yet until we know exactly what we're doing, because they don't want to go back and forth. They want to get it finished for you and it can be ready to go.
Was this for the plans to help Shelby in a contract with your firm?
Yes, sir.
It was entered into by the county at what time? Did he have it in his budget to have these plans drawn up this year?
It was part of the last year's plan, last year's budget. It was part of the money we had from last year. We had started out being $500,000, I think it was, and then from there we designed and went from there.
I think that was reduced though.
To $200,000
yeah.
last year.
And then what the EMS department is requesting is construction of the building, this building, in the 2014-15 year. Right.
And we provided to the auditor's office and to Commissioner Dupnick a budget to design this building based on what the contractor had given me. And that would have to be, I mean, the GMP would have to be under that. There's no doubt. We would have to make sure how do we work to get that GMP under that. Which is already, if you put that in your budget.
I don't want to get any action required on this until we settle with the budget.
Yes, sir. And I was gonna just hand out, the last slide is, everything that I put together for you is based on my experience, my expertise, and over my 20-something years as architect. There is a handout that you can just, if you just go online, you can look up these, some project delivery methods. This is a handout that comes from an organization that just talks about the different methods. The first method on this handout is what we discussed, which is the everything today.
Lorraine, do you have a copy on your computer of this drawing?
Do we have a copy of the drawing on the computer? I don't know. We'd have to look. I don't remember putting it on there. So the first one is, the first two competitive, then you have your construction manager at risk, and it gives you your advantages and disadvantages of those different methods. So again, it's another source that you can look at the advantages and disadvantages of the methods. Okay.
So when we get somebody to bid this job, if they bid it at, say, 250,000, when we get through, it's gonna be 250,000 or it'll be 500?
With the guaranteed maximum price, your cost is guaranteed before the construction documents are even bid. So if they say,
I know when we started with that deal, it's gonna be 7 out of 11.
yes, sir, the cost is contained, and it's before the bids go out. So that's one of the advantages that you have.
I just wanna make sure of that.
And like your construction manager, as he's going through, he says, hey, I think you've over-designed this thing, let's just take this piece out or something, or we could do all that.
He offers value engineering at the beginning, and then once he's established his guaranteed maximum price, then he needs to perform in accordance with that. But at the beginning, when you are establishing, he can tell that he can offer value engineering ideas. He can say, hey, if you do a metal building structure, it's going to save you some money. If you do a steel joist structure, this is what it's going to cost. So you get that added value and benefit coming from him. So again, we work with contractors to help make those decisions, but they're not liable. So if they give us, if they tell us the cost of steel is XYZ right now, and then it comes in at a different price, I don't get to go back to them and say, hey, you goofed, and you have to pay for it. It's just, sorry, so this is, contractually, they're required, and it's bonded. So you have that contractual relationship.
Right. Well, I think we need to study this.
Yes, sir.
I assume what we could do is talk to several proposed construction managers and see what they think they can do. They try to drive their price down. And, without affecting the quality, the building's serviceability, I am glad to say that it has 3 bays. That was some of the problems. 3 ambulances and 2 bays. The judge's office we've discussed. The position we're in over there in Kennedy is tenuous at best. Our judge been able to stay there on a long-term basis. So we need a place for her. So that's a good idea. The rest of it, we'll just have to analyze it. What's there? Is it needed? Is it not? What value engineering can we employ that will reduce the cost? Sure, I think so.
Well, what you would want to do is if you decide you're going to look at the construction manager, you would want to go ahead and issue the RFP, and Herb and Jeff can help you with that. And then and then they compete for your business, and then once they're on board, they will do their constructability review with you and give you ideas, hopefully,
Well,
on how you
they
can get
give
the cost
us a
down.
bid just like the contractor would.
They give you-
Build it at this maximum price.
They give you the guaranteed maximum price, but they do it once we've established the criteria. Again, what kind of roof, what kind of foundation, what does the geotech say? I mean, all of those things.
Are we able to consult with potential prospective construction managers ahead of time and visit with them and see what they think they can do to make it more affordable?
I would say, you're saying like, pre-talk to them before you issue
Yeah.
you want to just get their expertise on what could make it more affordable.
Right.
Talk to Herb and Jeff and
Yeah.
talk about what your opportunities are there.
Right.
You know, that would be,
Don't you think
Bring
we
us
should
yet
get
some
them in
kind
here
of-
so we can get it on the budget?
I'm sorry?
Don't you think we need to get them contractors in here so we can get the figures down, so we can get it in this next year's budget?
Sure, it seems like it, we need to know, I mean, we've used a figure that she supplied to us previously. You need to tell us right away whether that figure, just discussing it with the contractor,
it came from a contractor.
is still something that would work in the budget.
I sent him this revised plan because, as I said, we added the 84 square feet, we took out the 200 and something. I would like to say it's a wash, I don't want to tell you it's a wash, he's working on
That's
that
what I'm
right
saying.
now.
We need to
So-
know that right away. I mean, we're following the budget today.
Okay, let me
The
call.
budget could be, you know, the budget can be changed. You know, that's a proposed budget. We can modify it as we go through the hearings. But we need to have a pretty good idea right now.
Okay, yes, sir. I will call him and ask him when he will have that
Okay.
to us. We sent it to him as soon as we got it changed after we met with Judge Stewart, so I will find out.
Bruce, you had a question or a comment?
Actually, I have a comment. I'd like to see that the county also ask several design build contractors that are available in Victoria, San Antonio, to bid on the same project. I think you'll probably save a lot of money to design build, because when they design that building, that is an engineered building. And it'll have an engineer's stamp on it. It doesn't need quite frankly, there's programs on their computers will give you a cost estimate as soon as they're finished with the putting it on the computer.
Well, you know, we'd have to go through the bid process.
Absolutely. All I'm saying is, that there's a lot of people out here that have had steel buildings built. I've had one, several other people have. You've had them done. You call a guy that does engineers, you've had a couple done. You call a guy that does that, that's been doing it for 35 years. There's some great people over there in Victoria. And when they walk away from that thing, it's a guaranteed engineered building.
And I don't know
And, you know,
if there is somebody like that available. I imagine what we're gonna do is this in the budget as it stands right now. We can't, this is coming in so late. We're gonna put a number in there that can build the building that she's talking about. If we don't have to spend enough money, I'm all for it.
Right.
You know, we can figure out a way to do it cheaper, but still give
But to put this in context,
EMS what they need. You know, I'm all for that.
but to put this in
And the
context,
judge, that's true.
put this in context, about a year and a half ago, EMS was willing to buy a building across from the hospital that was going to take another $500,000 to rehab. They were willing to they were willing to go into a dump. Tracy has mentioned a number of times that if they had $500,000 worth, am I correct? And this building, I mean, every time it comes up in presentation, it's $1 million or $1 million plus. Am I correct? You know, we've gone from a steel building to park 3 ambulances and equipment and storage and whatever to this brand new plant. And you know, if you start adding real true dollars to this thing, and you take the EMS budget plus this building, what's their budget going to be for next year? Somebody got it? Anybody tell me? It's going to be $2+ million, easy.
Well, hopefully, there won't be any capital expenditures for a new EMS building after this.
Well, you know, there have been some solutions offered by, for example, Karnes City, where they're building a new municipal building, for lack of a better term, I don't know what they're actually would call it, convention center or whatever, and they've offered to us a place to park our ambulances at no charge. You know, we just thrown that away, and they did that from their good graces.
I don't know if parking the ambulances would necessarily answer the problem because.
But they also have quarters for the crews. I mean, and we just completely discounted that.
I'm not aware of that. I don't know what
Yes,
the problem
Shelby.
They have yet to design their building that I know of.
Wait,
I don't think
excuse me, Don, are you here?
No, he left.
You left.
I don't think the fire department has gone in and gone to a design phase yet. I think that
Missy's here. Miss Lissy from
Charlie Molly just told me yesterday that we had offered to keep the EMS here, but they refused it. That's what he
When?
told me yesterday.
when,
I don't know, I didn't go into detail.
Casey, Dennis,
All I know is my knowledge of the city and Gregory, if anybody, they have not even purchased the property or have even started designing, but for instance, we're adding on to our current station in Karnes City to house additional trucks. So
Right.
it's going to be a 2 to 3 year process before the building ever gets designed in Karnes City, in my opinion. But I don't know.
Anyway, Charlie told me that there was
Yes, ma'am.
room. And see, we just finished it, that big building that we added on for that truck. It's completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
They did offer to join Will. They came and
Something I was unaware of.
Let's see, we want to discuss the railroad tracks on Pamphlet Street, but that's got some environmental issues.
Let's, all these things are gonna be discussed. We have budget hearings coming up next month, and, I suggest that everybody investigate all these alternatives. And, let's see what we can do to save some money. Yeah, and yet deliver Mr. Kelly and the EMS people what they need, and of course, I want to answer if we have to buy a bill to do something with Judge Stewart eventually. You know, I've met with the city manager down there, and he's told me they're going to need that space in the near future. And the working environment down there is deteriorated for some reason recently. So we're gonna have to deal with that. So I think we're gonna have to be getting a new building. We have to take that into account too. I don't know.
You said not to attack someone, she's not even here to defend herself, so you just attacked it. Well, he said it deteriorated and everybody laughed and they said Barbara, somebody said Barbara. No, but that's what you meant. I mean, she's not even here to defend herself. You know, ask me not to attack Shelby Goodman when all the information's right here from the outside audit. Clear black and white that I have.
which is incorrect.
If you took that as an attack on your friend, I apologize.
Well, she's not my friend. I mean, she was county judge and, you know.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Let's run to the next agenda.
We talked to you about Shelby Goodman. You said, oh, he's my friend. You know, we can't do anything because he's my friend.
All right, next item. Discuss, approve, disapprove Karnes County sick leave pool policy for the Karnes County employees. This policy to be included in the new revised edition of the employee handbook for Karnes County, authored by Herb Hancock.
The policy that I'm proposing that the commissioners passed is a policy that manages the already existing Karnes County sick leave pool. It is not a policy that manages any of the sick leave that's normally done. This is the management of a pool that is set up already in existence, and according to Ms. Malone, has about 10,000 hours in it. It's an update to try to address some very severe issues of terminal illness on some of our employees that we're presently facing with, and that may be part of our problems in the future. It updates the definition of what a terminal and life-threatening illness is, and it includes in that definition the ability to define an illness as one that occurs, goes in remission, and then comes back again, and can be addressed each time as it comes back, as opposed to addressing it only in its first phase. For example, cancer. You have an individual that has cancer, that cancer goes into remission, and 3 years down the road, it comes back. We can address that issue as a new occurring event at the time it comes back the second time. Heart attacks, diabetes, and those kind of long-term illnesses that we're addressing. The rest of it basically sets out who will manage the sick leave pool. It is set up at the present time for the Commissioners Court to manage it with the hopes that there will be a human resource person put in place in the very near future. The rest of it I've given to you pretty well self-explanatory. It's just definitions that address a very specific problem that we have. It's an amendment to the existing personnel policy at this point. Any questions?
We just need a motion to approve.
Yes, Your Honor.
I make a motion to approve item 8 is discussed.
Mr. Yarder, have a question?
Does it have any provision there for pre-existing conditions?
It does. It basically, yes, it does.
And it says what?
It's not specifically set out, but it does define and will cover pre-existing.
It will cover so they would not be excluded. If you have a pre-existing condition, it would not be excluded.
That is correct. If you've got, say for example, you're hired by the county, you're allowed to have join the pool the first year with 8 hours, and you already have a heart condition, and you come in and that heart flares up and you have a condition that requires you to be off. It is covered, yes, by the definition.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss, approve, disapprove a records retention policy for Karnes County, Texas. The contact person with proposed policy to be the county clerk, the board, and individuals responsible for the administration of this policy will be subject to appointments by the Commissioners Court at different meetings. A different meeting, offered by Herb Hancock.
Your Honor, did the bill for us, the policy, may I defer to her?
Yes.
This is actually a records management policy, and it's new. Meaning I don't believe the county has a policy at all. So
Yes, we have a records management policy, a records retention policy.
All right, this is to replace the old records retention policy then. Texas law does require counties to have a records management policy, and then one of the issues that had come up to Mr. Hancock was basically storage for all the paper that was everywhere. And when the legislature passed the law making the state library and archives the entity which would help local governments in managing their records. They help develop policies for counties and cities and junior colleges and colleges. So what I did was take their policy, local government policy, and put it in the context of Karnes County, and put it in really step-by-step format how this would be done. The first thing it does is name someone to be a records management officer. Most counties, that's the county clerk, because she's kind of naturally the records person in the county. Then it appoints a records management committee, which I believe Herb said y'all could name that another time. Usually that committee has an IT person on it, because of course a lot of your records now are digital or on DVDs and things of that nature. You could even have a member of the public on it if you wanted to, and a commissioner, and probably the auditor would be on it. Then what would happen, once the committee's named, the county clerk would basically notify the state library that we have adopted the local government policy as they suggested, and that would kind of put us in good graces with the state in terms of the policy. And then she would have a meeting with the committee, and generally each department, each elected official names one person who's going to be responsible for records retention, records management in their department, and shows them how to determine what can be thrown away or what can't be thrown away. And I believe it's Exhibit B the material you have. This is an online schedule on the state library's website where any person can go and click on the kind of record, and it will tell them specifically in more detail than you can believe how long that record needs to be kept. Maybe it's forever, maybe it's 3 years. For instance, it's for the district clerk. I'll just pick one. It says Part 4 is juvenile records. If the district clerk or the county clerk is head of this committee goes in there and clicks on juvenile records, it will list every juvenile record that you can imagine and tell you how long you have to keep it. Meaning, with many, things that can be discarded, which would help with the storage issues. And so for every local government office and elected official, there is a list like that. And I did not print the whole thing out because we're trying to stop printing out paper, you know. But anyway, the county would be adopting the state library's list. In other words, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel and produce schedules on what should be kept and what shouldn't be kept. We're taking their advice. Now, let me say this. If it says that a record can be discarded, that doesn't mean we have to discard it. If for some reason it's felt like by the elected official or whoever it is looking at it that needs to be kept, it can still be maintained. But a tremendous amount of paper can be thrown away. I'll give you an example of the county clerk keeps all the records, official records of the criminal misdemeanor cases. Well, Mr. Hancock probably has copies of all of that in his file. If it's in the official file, he does not have to keep copies of it. Those can be destroyed. And it goes into much more detail than that, too. One other thing that would need to be done, and this would be done by the county clerk, each elected official would need to sign, and I prepared a document that they could sign asking for their office to be brought under the policy. In other words, they could have their own policy if they want to, but generally, if they want to be part of the uniform policy, the state library requires each elected official to just sign a statement saying that. Do you have any questions?
But you're saying this is optional for each county office to determine if they're in or out?
Elected,
Like,
yeah. Commissioners Court can't order the elected official to do it, so, and the state library requires each one of them to sign this document. But there are certainly departments that report to the Commissioners Court that aren't under some other elected official. And if you'll look at, I think it's in that the packet. Anyway, it's a very simple little statement saying that they agree.
It's Exhibit A.
We have a records retention policy right now for Karnes County. Who's the contact person right now? Goodbye?
Yes, and it's from 1992. It's a very old policy, so it does need to be updated.
Yes, Mr. Butler, Exhibit A is for the county. All it says is I'm an elected county official and I want to participate in the management program that the commissioners have passed.
and what was the source of your fund? Did you consult with, or do research on how did you come to
Yes,
conclude this?
the policy?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I did research both on the state library's website and then other comparable counties. I looked at other policies and, of course, made it better.
Do you have one similar to this in place in Wilson County?
No. But they probably will soon.
I wanted to, I'm sorry, I was going through this and I was trying to hear everything, and I was trying to go through this and everything. And just a question here, if we had a record protection policy, and I understand updating some things and everything, the contact person for this policy should be the county clerk. So basically, if we make the motion, we would be moving it from the treasurer's office, that was the contact person, to the county clerk.
Yes.
And that reasoning is?
Honestly, that came off the advice of the state library and archive system, which is over all state and local government agencies' record retention.
So that's where it goes to, I'm sorry.
I mean, it doesn't have to.
No, man, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just asking what reason.
That's the only, I just went along with their recommendation. And because so many of the permanent records in the county reside with the
I
county
understand.
clerk.
So that's the way the
Real
other counties, it goes to the county clerk?
Right.
Okay.
James, at one time it was under the special projects person, and when I came into office, that person didn't want to handle it anymore, so my office just kind of overtook it. I don't have a problem with Carol doing it at all. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's why it kind of ended up in my lap.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because it's records and all that, so the other counties are doing it with the county clerk.
Yes.
And Commissioner, each office, each elected official can choose not to be under that policy, and they can do their own retention schedule based on what's on the state library and archives recommendation. Each office has a schedule, a retention schedule, and we all follow it. And we can follow it on our own, or we can follow it under the policy.
Thank you.
Can I ask if this policy will contain, when we talk about records, do we also talk about contracts? Because I know in the past we've had a lot of difficulty as citizens finding various contracts that.
Yes, I think if you look up in detail, contracts are certainly supposed to be retained. And I can't remember exactly, but it's something like 8 years after it expires. And there's a period of time it has to be retained.
Would that be in the clerk's office or under your policy suggestion?
Ms. Hall, as long as they come through the Commissioner's Court minutes, they'll be in my office.
Yes, and they should, every contract should. But, there was something else I was gonna say about it. Now I've lost it. But anyway, yes, a legal document, certainly.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 10 as presented.
Yeah, we got a little numbering problem. We're making a motion to approve the record retention policy, right?
Right.
Just a question, do we have to also make a motion to appoint the county clerk as the records management officer? And do we have to appoint the allow the clerk to approve the clerk to file a form SLR, whatever it's 508, with the state library. And then, I mean, all these exhibits and things, we have to make a motion and all them. That's all part of the policy.
I think if you just approve that.
Just approve.
As written, that should cover everything.
As written, as written, it says that we're simply approving the records retention policy. We're not yet setting up
The committee.
the committee or anything else. Right.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Are you the holder of the microphone? Oh, I'm sorry.
Next item, discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing the county attorney to hire an expert review testimony in a pending inquest conducted in Judge Fellows Court on the issue of the cause of death for a resident in Precinct 4, authored by Herb Hancock.
Briefly, Judge Sotella, when he first came in office, was called to the scene of an accident or the scene of a death and made a decision based upon what he saw at the scene and did not order an inquest, did not order an autopsy, made a decision on the death certificate that indicated a cause of death. That cause of death became contentious with the family, and the family filed a motion with Judge Sotillo contesting his findings or his decision, and he conducted an inquest. And one of their experts testified and presented evidence that would cause Judge Sotillo to have to change the cause of death on the certificate, the death certificate. Judge Sotillo is a little uncomfortable with making a decision without hearing from another expert, using the evidence that the family called as a witness. So I'm asking that we be given the opportunity to hire an expert to look at what their expert looked at and make a decision, or give us an opinion as to cause of death where Judge Sotillo can make a decision.
Is this case one compel him to change it?
Well, that's what they're asking of us. That's what they're trying
Is
to
it
do.
a suit against the county or against Sotillo or what?
It's not a suit against anybody at this time. It's only contesting the issue of whether or not he made the right decision. It'll wind up in a district court case, I anticipate at some time, but right now, it's still in the county or the justice court in the form of an inquest.
How much money is this going to cost?
Less than $5,000. I haven't talked to anybody about it at this point.
Does the JP have that much in his budget for his emergency funds like that?
I don't think so. He asked me to do this, and I'm doing it based on what he requested.
This would be the best thing to do now, right?
Yes.
Hire an expert.
Yes. If we don't do that, Judge is not going to have the benefit of all of the information he needs before he makes a decision.
If he doesn't have it in his budget, then there would have to be an emergency item.
That's the only way that I can see it. I don't have anything in my budget to work with.
I guess I make the motion to approve the item on the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Judge, may I address number 11?
Number 12, go ahead.
Well, number 11 is the Select Energy issue.
Yes.
Could we not hear that one today because the representative from Select is not here, and I asked him to be here to answer questions.
We'll pass it.
No action.
Number 12, there is a representative here to present that request for a change, correction, deed correction, deed value.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you, your name, please?
I'm Melanie Ray. I work with CWA.
Right, go ahead.
I'm here because Mr. Tilson and his attorney need to correct the correction deed. So it'll be a second correction, and the issue is that they inadvertently reserved interest on property that the city of Karnes has actually sold out. So they're trying to avoid conflict.
Okay. Who sold what to whom?
In the second correction deed, it was Alan Reed Tilson granting Karnes County interest. They had had some confusion in the past, so this was supposed to actually fix everything. And Mr. Tilson was only going to reserve minerals under the properties that were still owned by the county. However, the research that was done from the attorney didn't match up with what's actually a record. So our title office was trying to help fix that matter. And, you know, as I said, avoid conflict, because the county had sold property out and with full mineral rights. So when they did the second correction and he inadvertently reserved under the wrong properties, now it's putting the county in a position where they granted out 100%, and now this person's coming across saying that they're reserving what's already been granted out. So that's why they're issuing the second correction document, to avoid that. Make it clear that they're not trying to reserve something the county's already sold.
Where's the evidence, where's the official paperwork that says that he owned those rights? Is that being presented here before, or what are we talking about?
That I'm not sure. Originally, all of this was presented by Devin Hill some time ago when the actual correction was done. Looks like January 15th of 2014. And since then, Ms. Hill no longer works with us. So it's just kind of been passed down.
In either instance, the Commissioner Court apparently already approved and County Judge Shaw signed a first correction deed. In that first correction deed, did the county reserve, retain, or obtain any mineral interest?
No, it was just maintaining what they already had. This is the original correction deed that was recorded in January.
Judge, may I receive just a second?
Sure.
The owner of the property at one time was a man named Tilson. And there were some issues as to ownership of minerals under about 23 or 24 lots in, I believe, in Karnes City. And there was one of the original deeds where Mr. Tilson quit claimed his interest in some property to Karnes County. There was no designation as to the grantee. We got in a dispute over the ownership of minerals, and with the court's approval, I settled the ownership issue with Mr. Tilson's lawyer. It involves less than 1/4 of an acre, but it was messing up the title of some property that belonged to the city, and title to property that belonged to us, and title to property that belonged to Tilson. And we tried to correct that dispute. One of the lots was left out of that agreement, and that's what we're addressing at this time. It's not that much, but we're trying to clean up for the purpose of, I believe it's going to be it's pooled into a well at this time, and we're trying to, and as y'all probably know, they get very technical about 1/100th of an interest in a piece of property nowadays. So That's the reason for where we are. But it's a result of a settlement between the county and Mr. Tilton over a dispute.
In reviewing this deed, does it comply with the terms of the settlement?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
So you're asking us some deed that the county attorney is telling us is necessary for the county to perform its portion of the settlement. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I'll move we sign the deed if that's the case.
I'll second it.
All in favor? It's better on that. You know. Swear to sign the work to the community express. There you go. All right. Number 14. Discuss, approve, disapprove adopting guidelines and criteria for granting and auditing tax payments. Shelby, you're the author, and I think
Yes, sir.
the Yarder for
Mr.
moving forward.
Yeah, Mr. and Ms. Yarder, Mr. Yarder asked me to submit this item on the agenda on behalf of his wife. She wanted to address this. This is something we've been talking about for several years. Ms. Yarder, please go ahead. Go ahead.
And I provided Shelby with a copy of another county nearby.
Guadalupe.
Guadalupe County, and that particular document has a resolution, the guidelines and criteria, and it has a form for application for an abatement. So it basically has everything we need without having to do much but scan and change. And since it was on the internet, I don't think that Guadalupe County is going to have any major objections to the proprietary products. But
Which county was this, I'm sorry?
Guadalupe County. Yeah. So, and the biggest concern that I have that's come up always when this has been an issue is the fact that we have no one appointed to do an audit of the tax abatements that were given to the 5 or 6 companies that have them now.
To see if they're complying with the terms?
That's correct, because formerly the position was taken that a letter was received in this office that simply said, we're in compliance, we're good boys and girls, don't come look in our drawers, okay? So we need to do that. We're talking about what could be potentially millions of dollars in taxes that we're losing if they have not met their requirements that they signed off on in their contract.
And this gives the county the authority to audit those companies, their uses, to make sure they are complying with the terms.
Actually, the authority was given to the county to audit them when they signed the application and got the abatement originally, because this also affects our schools, and the Robin Hood plan falls under the comptroller's office, and so it's something that we have a requirement to do.
Yeah, Mr. Hancock came up with that last word.
Well, and the reason why we need guidelines and criteria is that the statute simply says that after 2 years they expire, and if you don't have them in place, anybody who comes before the court and asks for a tax abatement cannot ask for one, because we don't have guidelines and criteria in effect. So every 2 years, we need to renew them or alter them or change them, and we haven't had them now for almost 4 years.
Under whose office would this be?
Well, we did have the county office whereby they issued or started the process for the abatement, and that's when you're looking at attracting new business in the town.
Right.
So we don't any longer have a county office. The cities, I I know the city of Karnes City has, an officer in that position, but and he was formerly the county, officer. It's just that we have no ability to attract any new business or offer anything if we don't have them in place.
I've got two documents in front of me. It look like one is the set of guidelines that was drafted by her. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Your Honor, when this was put on the agenda, I didn't know anything other than I just saw Mr. Dupney, and he and I talked about the abatement issue for some time. And this is the policy that Sweetwater now has in place, or Ector County, and they have wind farms and some energy that has to do with some future industry that we anticipate coming to town. And that's what is addressed in this policy only. I'm not addressing have nothing other than I was just trying to assist Mr. Dupney in his discussion today, and I didn't know what it was at this point.
I'm in 100% agreement with you that we need policy. The only thing I would like to do is to have us compare these two, to see, we'll probably just pick and choose provisions that look good.
And I agree with that.
And so,
the one thing that you can do, and do need to do, we've addressed this before, is appoint somebody, some entity, some department, someone to audit the abatements that we have on the books already.
I would agree with that. We're gonna have to figure out who can do that.
Well, I don't know, but the one who does the appraisals out of San Antonio, that group would have the ability to do it. I don't know who else would be
Maybe
qualified.
stick an item in the budget, I guess.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it back before the commissioner's court, because that's an item that.
Rather timely bring it up.
You just thought you were doing that.
I wonder how much it costs to get an audit like this, Brad. I wouldn't think it'd be that expensive. It's not a great deal to make the audit.
There's only 5 or 6 companies.
It's kind of like, these audits, if you're auditing an oil and gas company and royalty, it's expensive. But if you're auditing and bringing a royalty, I understand they usually produce money. It seems like it's frequently that you find that there's been some fudging in terms of lease or royalty payments, things like that. Maybe it's worth looking at.
I mean, they had certain job requirements that they were supposed to provide to the county, and the law is very clear. If they fail.
I would suggest if we can't enforce the policies of the abatements, that we probably not be so
willing to
eager to.
I agree. These are all good ideas. I would think it needs to be in somebody's budget that is in charge of enforcement, law enforcement, perhaps county attorneys, perhaps sheriffs. Yes, ma'am.
Well, y'all are gonna be talking about the offices of code compliance. What about that? Adding it into that department, or that person?
For example, currently there's an item before, there will be an item before the court regarding Select Energy. They want to do something. But before any actions take place, I think that it would almost be mandatory that they submit to an audit prior to any movement of properties by sale or trade or anything else, to make sure that they're in compliance with the abatement before that's done.
In other words, prior to abatement being granted, they have to be in compliance with certain.
Well, no, apparently, I don't know exactly what they want to do, Mr. Hancock.
I believe, if I understand what they told me, they were wanting to transfer the property that had the abatement on it was sold or put into a different corporation. And they were trying to get this abatement transferred over to the new corporation. And I told them I wasn't going to touch this until they talked to the commissioner's court. And because Mr. Yard is correct, there's no way I could tell you whether or not they're in compliance or not.
Is it transferable without consent of the county?
No. It can't be done without the commissioner's court, and that's the reason it's on the agenda.
So what they probably is going to say, if you don't agree to the transfer, this is going to happen, this is going to shut down, whatever it is. Something
Well,
like that.
I don't know.
I doubt it would, but they would say that.
I doubt it would shut down. It has to do with some assets that the corporation split up in 3 or 4 different directions and went in different directions. The property that has the tax abatement on it, I believe is real property, and that is in one holding company. And then they've moved some of the operating capability of the corporation into another company, and they just spread the whole of it out. And
That's
really
their
not what-
internal tax issue, and not, and should be adopted with our products.
Okay.
And it was my thought when it comes to the commissioner's court that y'all could require them to supply you with the documentation as to whether or not they were in compliance with the item or the items that are addressed in the abatement.
They did that last year by a letter. But one of those, I remember vividly when the tax abatement was issued, and it's a multi-million, if not billion-dollar company. One of the issues on their abatement was that they had to employ 200 people that lived in this county. So that would be something that needed to be seen, if they actually did comply.
And if they do, then we get to roll back to day one and come forward with that.
Sounds good to me. They're cheap. It's a real. Right?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Well, I think we want to
Let me
look.
make a comment. We definitely need some guidelines for tax abatement. This says this policy effective as of February 12, 2009. Is that the date of their original abatement?
Yes.
In other words, we can't make this retroactive to that date.
No.
I think that has to be changed. Is that correct?
Well, I think we have 2 different abatement documents that have been submitted to us, policies. And I'd like to look at them, study them, and see which we certainly want to use. We certainly want to put one of these policies in effect, but we want to make sure we're using the right kind of language. So I would think that the best thing to do is let's review them and the next meeting, see if we can have a discussion on them.
And the
Put
one,
something in effect.
the one on Guadalupe County is available on the internet. It's in the Guadalupe County guidelines and criteria, and it comes right up and it has all 3 things. So
I'll
we
take
might
a look
want
at
to
it.
change it and put dollar figures in for what we want jobs to pay, that sort of thing. But that would be up to y'all in terms of this time too.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No action.
I think we're gonna look and see, the action is we're gonna do it, but we just don't have the document to pass it. Yeah. I don't think either one of these is in the condition to put it in effect yet. All right? Thank you.
Easy over there.
It's a little bit different sound. Thankfully. Discuss, approve, disapprove on establishing the Office of Code Compliance to enforce compliance with Karnes County codes and ordinances. Shelby.
I was asked to put that on by Cheryl Lemoyne. We've talked about this before. We've got we've got our subdivision ordinance, and hopefully we'll end up adopting today the RV trailer ordinance and the solid waste disposal ordinance in the county. I'm sure we'll be creating maybe a gaming ordinance as well one of these days. But we have to have, and again with this tax abatement, we have to have somebody that can be reviewing and auditing and you know, just making sure everybody's in compliance. There's a lot of things we can do with this. Maybe we can partner with one of the cities to use contract them for their code enforcement officer. I don't know. It's just for discussion at this time, but we need to be looking at that. I know Commissioner Schindler's person that's going to be retiring in the year. He does all the permits right now for the pipeline. Once he retires, we're not going to have anybody for that position unless, you know, we move somebody in there shortly because the man's going to be having surgery. So he'll be out probably a better part of the rest of the year. So, Ms. Moore?
Yes, Commissioners and Judge, I'd just like to address this. This is a project, I guess that you can say we've been working on for some time, and we've all come up with different ideas. The last time we spoke, it was about that y'all were going to get some more information to see what some of the other people were doing to get back with us to see. I'm just asking that you will hire, not just hire a code compliance officer, and if you do that, that's great. But if that code compliance officer is not going to be enforcing those rules, then that's just another person that we're paying to do something. I think it's very important that we continue to look at this and begin to really act upon this. Last time it was told that we have to wait until the budget, and the budget's here now. And so, you know, the issues are still coming up. I know that y'all don't have anything really necessarily with the cities. This is the county, but the cities are part of the county. And if you would drive into Kennedy and you would drive, say, by the old HEB into that little creek where the ice plant is. This ice company next to Dr. Steger's office has been having, for over a year, I've been working with the city down there trying to get them to have them put a receptacle there for those ice bags. Those ice bags, they just continue to put over the tops of those, the little pipes that are around the building so that cars won't hit it, and beer boxes and all kinds of stuff. What happens is, here comes the mowers, the wind blows, they're all going down. If you would drive down that way, and it's just a horrible mess, and it's really sad to see this going on. And knowing that there's an issue there, and it's continuing, even with, you know, people bringing it up to the attention. I've worked with the San Antonio River Authority to try to get them to, you know, get involved in this. And that's just one instance at one place. We have this all over the county, and it's not getting any better. But I wanted to say that if you do hire yourself a code compliance officer, because you can do that, but they're going to have to be responsible for acting upon these things, not just a title and, you know, because we really want to try to make that stop. I know that litter is always there, but it is going to always be there. But yet, as we continue to grow and get more and more into this area, I think that it is time now for action, because I know you can see that I'm not going to go away on this topic.
I understand. I guess what you're saying is let's reserve the code enforcement officer. Get someone to actually work it.
Well,
do something.
I'm just a citizen, but if I can drive around and I see these things happen, I see these things, then I know that other people also can too. And as landowners, as people that live here, you know, we don't want to get picking up people's trash everywhere. You know, make some examples of some of these things that are going on, and maybe it can stop. But it's going to continue until you give them a reason to stop.
I don't know if any commissioners had anybody inquire with y'all, but there's several people starting to voice concerns about these food trucks being all over the county. Quality of food, they following the guidelines. These people that set up on a corner selling whatever they sell for food, are they following the guidelines? You know, by health standards and stuff like that. And this is one of the areas too that slowly we need to start looking at. You know, I've had a lot of people talk to me about, you know, on these county roads, they got, you know, people sticking their little RV signs in the middle of a right of way on somebody's property, or putting a, you know, parts department store, parts for RVs and places, and you know, looking for jobs. They stick them everywhere, you know, and people are starting to, a lot of people are starting to get upset about that. That's something else they have to pick up off their property. I know that there is a code that says that, you know, like, people put a sign down, all you do is you can enforce that by, you know, following that person whose number they says to call. And because they had to authorize somebody to put that sign in.
Is this, if we had a code compliance officer, does it need to be in a separate department? Could it operate under the sheriff?
I'd rather have it operate underneath the sheriff's office. I've talked to Mr. Even, that way he'd have legal authority to issue a citation, as well as, you know, enforce any action that might need to be taken.
How much do you anticipate it would cost to put that in operation? What's this for paying?
I don't know if you would have to hire an additional person, or are you going to assign one of the investigators to maybe do that as his internal review, or something?
Right, Judge, you really have to assign, get a full-time 40-hour person that can do that. There's enough work in this county, as Cheryl mentioned, to keep a 40-hour.
Well, I realize that. Do y'all have somebody that's working with your staff right now that would not be so full of busy we could change that responsibility?
Not at the present time, we don't, Judge.
You know, Shelby has,
Well,
2 years.
let me answer this one. Is there any added position that you're requesting in your budget? If we gave you that, you could use for that?
We did not request any additional people for this 14-15 budget.
Right. Alright, so.
You know, October the 16th, there's going to be a code enforcement class sitting in San Antonio. And commissioners, y'all all invited to go. I've signed up. I think Ms. Moyes signed up. And I know Fernando with the city of Karnes City, he goes because they get close hours for that. And there's usually a lot of law enforcement officers, as well as county attorneys and the city municipality people there, but that voice those issues.
And I've read Dr. Offal's 2 of his books, and this is the man that's going to be presenting that workshop. And it is unbelievable how many things are out there that are violations that we're just looking at. We think we can't do anything about them, but they are the law.
I'm sorry, what was this?
Well, I was speaking, but I just said, you know, we were talking about the fact that Dr. Ockel's books, the man is presenting the seminar. I've read both of those books, and it's unbelievable how many violations are out there that we're just overlooking. Not only are we just overlooking and they're a mess, we're losing revenue on that.
Maybe it'll pay for itself.
It probably will.
It will.
It would pay for itself.
I make a motion to approve item, establishing the office of code compliance, enforcement compliance, Orange County codes and ordinance.
All right, and as I understand, let me see if we can modify that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna establish an officer of code compliance and to enforce compliance with Karnes County codes and ordinances to be employed by the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Excuse me, could you put like maybe like slash like health also with that position? Because like Shelby was speaking about with those, food trucks and all that stuff that we go around. I don't think we have anybody with a health, compliance that.
I don't know what county ordinances, if any, exist right now that we apply.
We have to talk with Dr. Saldana about that.
But maybe this position should be.
State law has a lot of statutes in it that deal directly with trash and things like that, so code enforcement officers could just enforce what's currently on the books. But the county at one time needs to adopt some of those specific things that she's talking about.
I don't think the title, Cheryl, will dictate what that is. We'll
That's
describe
right.
the position and the responsibilities when we set it up.
Okay, well, just so that whoever it's gonna be will go, well, I'm gonna do trash and I'm gonna do it.
I understand.
So you make a double thing of it. 'Cause
We'll,
there are a lot of
we'll
those food
invest-
trucks that come through.
As this person comes on board, we'll investigate what enforcement is lacking in the county and we'll get them assigned to do that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
We had a motion.
I'll second it with the modification.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
What
Thank
figures
you.
for the budget?
Judge, will your order have to amend our budget to add that in there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
So is it going to be at a deputy's rate and at a vehicle?
Oh, yeah, they have to have everything.
I think so.
Can you give me those numbers 5 minutes ago?
We'll give it to you by the end of the day.
No.
Sooner
not
than
soon
that.
enough.
Okay.
Like 2 o'clock
I
at the
can go
latest?
there. I already have it.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but we have them lumped.
Oh, okay.
I need vehicle costs. I can do the salary part, but I need vehicle
No, I
costs.
can do it, Judge, here. I'm going to get to it.
16 or 15, however you're reading it. Discuss, approve, disapprove, establishing an ordinance prohibiting solid waste disposal. Is a need due to citizens being subjected to illegal dumping of various solid waste on the county right of ways, roads, and waterways. Shelby.
About 2 months ago, or last month, I proposed an ordinance, and every commissioner was given a copy of that. Mr. Hancock reviewed it, and I think he tweaked it, and said it was all set to go. We have people in the county again, that are creating tire landfills and stuff like that. I've contacted TCQ on a couple areas, and they're already in the process of enforcement of the violations.
Any discussion?
You could set up with penalties attached, all that.
And all that attached.
Herb, you went all through it? I'll make the motion to approve item number 16 as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Next. Discuss, approve, disapprove, establishing an ordinance to regulate Karnes County infrastructure requirements for recreational vehicle park regulation. Shelby.
We have so many, I guess, RV parks that are been established in the county. Some are trying to be sold, and some are slowly gone away. But we have no way to regulate what they do and how they do it. And this policy mirrored our subdivision ordinance, and it just provides guidelines. And now, if we have a code enforcement person to be able to monitor and enforce whatever regulations we would have, but somebody would have to. And Mr. Hancock looked at that and approved it. And it's also my understanding that if somebody would purchase or create another RV park, they would have to follow the current guidelines. You wouldn't be grandfathered in unless you're grandfathered in if you're now, but anything future would have to be followed by this policy.
You've gone over it, Herb?
Any comments?
Make the motion to approve item number 17 as presented.
And I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Discuss, approve, disapprove, quit claiming lots 5, 6, block 203, of the city of Karnes City, Texas, to the De Los Santos family, currently shown as owner, and quit claiming the north 1/2 of lots 6 and 7, block 106, Karnes County, Texas, Rogelio and Diane Rodriguez, currently shown as owner. This was sent to me by somebody with Carroll Lake's office. Is there anyone here to speak on it?
Mr. Hackney is.
Come on in, Hackney. Thank you. Title report.
It's just a partial that would affect y'all's decision. All right, first name, my name is Kent Hackney, and I represent C.W. Blake and Associates. The first track is lots 5 and 6. If you notice on that page, I just got a partial of the title, and it begins in 1985 when the McCullough people et al. They conveyed lots 5 and 6, the surface and mineral estate, to the county of Karnes for itself and as trustee for Karnes City Independent School District and the city of Karnes City. And then in 2011, somehow or another, it was erroneously added to the sheriff's sale. It was in the tax foreclosure procedure and that certain cause, and it should have never been on there. However, the surface was conveyed to Helen Von Felt. And then in 2013, Helen Von Felt sold the surface to Manuel de los Santos and his wife Sylvia. And as you can see, we took a lease in 2014 with the city of Karnes City, trustee for itself and its Karnes City Independent School District. However, the lease is invalid because the minerals and the surface was actually still retained by the county as for itself and as trustee. So I'm proposing as your options is either you can quit claim the surface estate to the De Los Santos, which would be the right thing to do because the Von Felt paid the county money for the surface, and therefore the property would remain on the tax roll. But then on the minerals, y'all have two options. Either y'all can quit claim it to the city of Karnes City and the Karnes City Independent School District and y'all get out of the title, or y'all keep it as is and then y'all elect to offer lots 5 and 6 in block 203, which is 0.2920 of an acre for bids for a new oil and gas lease.
Under Karnes County.
Under Karnes County, right. As it is right now, y'all still own the surface and the minerals.
As a trustee, though.
Well, for yourself and as trustee for both the school and the city of Karnes City. See, back in the older days, there was no set policy how they retained the interest when it was on the tax sale.
I can't imagine why somebody gave it to Karnes City and
It was several lots and blocks. I think what they did, they just wanted to get out of it and they just deeded it over and they took it off the tax roll.
Tax money or something?
No telling.
I'm a little hesitant to convey away an interest in property that we own as a trustee, or unless we had the consent of Karnes City Independent School District, I wouldn't do it. Because we're in fiduciary obligation to Karnes City School District, since we're the trustee, and we can't just go, well, here, it's yours.
Why did you make the statement that would be the right thing to do?
As far as the surface estate, because the Von Felt paid the county money for the property. It was in a Plymouth sheriff's. They went in and paid cash money for that property to the county. And now, actually, the sheriff didn't have the right to sell that property. And the Von Felt sold it to the current owner. And so right now, the current owner is sitting up there out the money and really don't have anything.
Didn't the sheriff's deed just incorrectly include that piece of property in the description? What they really paid the money for was the property that was validly subject to the sheriff's settlement, correct?
Well, whatever was on this deed is what they paid money for.
Which was lots 5 and 6, block.
Well, it was several, it was 4 lots. It was lots 2 and 3, and then 5 and 6 in that lot. But according to Alpha Jonas, I talked to her, she talked to the attorney with the tax foreclosure receiver. He said what they did, they just saw that lot 5 and 6 was out there, so they just piggybacked it onto the sewer. Which it should have never been done because it was already in the county.
Well, but the county owned it as trustee.
Well, for yourself and as trustee for the other 2 entities. So the county owned it 1/3 outright.
We're talking block 203, 5 and 6, so we're talking all 4.
Just 5 and 6.
That's
That's
the
the
one
only
that
2 that are
piggyback.
in question. Because title was different on lots 2 and 3. See, lots 2 and 3 were foreclosed on for lack of tax payment.
I'm hesitant to make the conveyance unless we get consent from everybody we're trustee on. Is that the city of Karnes City and the school district?
And the school district.
If they consent to it, we might do something, but because apparently the county didn't intend to own it anymore. If they put it in the deed, unless it was just a clerical error.
We can do some research.
What's the status of this property right now? I mean, is it being drilled?
Well, it's been included into a unit.
Okay. So we're giving away something that has some value.
You did say we had the right to offer it for lease?
As of right now, y'all own the minerals for yourself and as trustees of the school and the city of Clay City. We took a lease was taken from the city and from the school district. However, it is invalid the way it was done because the mineral interest never was conveyed over.
So in other words, we have to lease our part for the city and the schools lease to be, is that correct?
Well, actually, that lease would be invalid. You'd have to lease for yourself and as trustee for the 2 members. It'd be a brand new lease.
Right.
What do you think, Herb? I mean, the surface, I understand where you're coming from. The surface, they've already bought it, they sold it, then people own it, and in my book, they would own it. Mineral rights, do go ahead with the lease, with the new lease.
I don't want to turn loose mineral rights unless we just have to. And I don't think, under the circumstances of the time, I haven't looked at it, but I feel like Jeff Butler does. I would want to know more about what's happening before I sign any kind of.
We've heard it. It's put it in a unit.
That's right.
So there's value there. I don't want to throw people off land. Are they living out there?
I couldn't tell you that.
Or is it just pasture or? Well, it could be pasture in the city of Lamar.
Is that the northeast?
Yes.
Northeast.
Want to find out where that is, what's going on there.
The only interest is in minerals.
Yeah, if we had consent from the city, the school district to convey the surface to the people who thought they bought it, I don't have a problem doing that. And we can just retain the minerals. Is that?
That's yes, sir.
You check with the city and school district, see if they're okay. I'll sign off on that deed of the surface.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I move that as to all these properties, we retain our mineral interest, which we have as a trustee, we're supposed to keep, and that the surface interest, if Karnes City and the school district consent to it, we'll quit claim that to the apparent surface possession. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
Work on it for me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, 19, discuss approve the order of November 4, 2014 general election for the county and precinct offices. I'm supposed to sign an order setting those officially I need a motion to approve that ordinance.
The order.
Order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Good, thank you, Karen.
I'll need to get a copy from the letter, but you're supposed to keep the original.
Yes, sir. Discuss, approve, disapprove the order of appointment of the presiding judge and alternate judge for each polling location for the November 4th, 2014 general election.
The order before me, and it needs to be signed by the judge as well as each of the commissioners. And I just went through, we sent out letters to as many people as we could find that had worked for us before, made sure they were still interested, and then talked to them about working for the election. So I've now appointed election judges and alternates for each location. So.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second. All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
No problem. Discuss, approve, disapprove the home delivered meal grant program and make what budget plan for such program. Do we have anybody here to speak on that? We have put something in the proposed budget for that, and we'll discuss it and approve or disapprove of that budget hearing. No action. No action.
There's another one.
You gotta use those early. Next, discuss, approve, disapprove the 2015 Sheriff's and Constables Fees Report. Sheriff Villanueva.
Good morning, how are y'all this morning? Every year I have to present the new sheriff's and constable fees before October 1st Commissioner's Court. They have not changed, they stay the same. Y'all should have a copy of this.
Great.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 22 as presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
23, discuss, approve, disapprove the resetting of Commissioners Court that is scheduled on November 11, 2014. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm not going to be here.
That's Veterans Day, we're also closed. Sir,
It's actually the election.
if I could speak before y'all make that decision, I had signed up, just so you know. I wanted to point out a couple of things to make sure that you guys are aware. We have to, the election will need to be canvassed anyway, so if we can do it on the same date as y'all set the new meeting, that would be wonderful. So it can't be canvassed any earlier than November the 12th and no later than November the 18th. So I just wanted to mention that to you because otherwise you got to have a second meeting, so I thought I'd mention it. And then also I wanted to see if you could include in there something about like the invoice getting pushed, the invoice due dates getting pushed back if the meeting is pushed back, because that would allow me to get my elections information in and get all my election workers paid at that meeting rather than having to wait until the end of the month.
So when would that need to be?
It would be the Monday prior, not the
Yeah.
10th, but it would be the 3rd. Because normal due date would be the Tuesday before court.
Correct.
Which would be the
Which is
4th,
like
so
the
it'll
week.
move it to the 3rd.
So you're proposing what?
Whatever date you set the meeting, that the week before, a week before that date is a date that I could use. so that I can get my stuff in, because the election is on November the 5th. So if there's any way I could get my stuff in by November 6th.
It's on the 4th.
Oh, the 4th, I mean, that's fine, sorry. So if there's any way I could get my stuff in by the 5th or 6th, because it doesn't take me but half a day to get it together, then I would be able to present it to you at that meeting as well. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
All right, so if I'm moving the November 11th meeting, when do I need to move it?
To include paying election workers, you would need to move it to either the 12th or the 13th, the Wednesday or Thursday. If you move it to the Monday prior, which is what would have normally been done, then the election workers won't be paid until the end of November.
And also to include the canvas in that meeting, so you don't have to have a second meeting.
And so that can't take place before the 12th?
12th, yes, sir.
All right, let's move it to the 12th. I'll move the Commissioners Court meeting that is scheduled on November 11th. Yes. Oh, our president can handle that. No, Jane will be there. All right, we'll move the meeting to November 12th, 2014. All in favor? Second. All right.
Who seconded it?
Pardon me. James. All in favor? Discuss, approve, disapprove the replacement of a drainage pipe that is removed near the intersection of County Road 205 and 305. Pete?
No, 250.
250, pardon me.
All right, that, Mike was in here the other day when Ms. Yana came in, you remember? She was in here. And,
Yes.
Mike went out there and met with her at the location, took grade shots, and they worked it out. We're gonna put the pipe in. So we don't, it's already done. It didn't have to be on the agenda, but when she met the first time with Mr. Bustamante out there, he told her, well, you have to put it on the agenda, so she put it on here. Where does it have to be?
Does he have budget money to pay for it?
Oh, yes, it's been resolved.
Okay.
You don't want to just, no action?
So no action on it.
No action. Next, discuss, approve, disapprove mandatory direct deposit of county employee payroll for all county employees / elected officials effective October 10. First payroll in this fiscal year. Ms. Lund?
I know we've kind of talked about this before, and I talked to Judge Butler on Monday about possibly bringing this back up on the agenda, and he said yes. What's happening is we are converting to a new system, and what will be able to happen is instead of us having to hand out direct deposit slips to the employees, they'll be now required to have an email address. And if they don't have an email address, then we will send that direct deposit slip to their department head to hand out. So we're trying to get away with checks. We're trying to that will help reconcile bank statements because there will be very few checks. There'll be some escrow checks, like to pay insurances, that kind of stuff. They'll have to be produced still. But it'll cut us down. We have 26 employees now out of 150, 60, probably have
about 160.
About 160 employees that we're still handing out checks to. So we have way over the majority that are doing the direct deposit.
Is anybody in activity that they don't have a bank account?
We don't have to have a bank account. We have some people that do, it's called Green Dot. It's a reloadable debit card.
Oh.
And it can automatically be reloaded into that debit card every 2 weeks. They don't have to have a checking account. They can do that. They can purchase it at Walmart. Right now it's mandatory for anyone. I think back in February we changed this to any new employee. We haven't had an issue with it. We've had some that didn't make it by that first payroll, but we really stressed that second payroll to have it, and they've been able to have it. So it's either a checking account or it's a reloadable card.
And that reloadable card, if they go purchase one at Walmart and y'all load that?
Well, if they just bring us the information to us, and it's like a direct deposit into their account. It's got the same routing number, same accounting number, just like a checking account does. It's just put on their card every time so they can go in
And is there a limit, like just for an example, say it's $300, $500, $800, $1,000, can they take it all out as
They
soon as
can
they
get it all out
get
at one
paid
time.
to the last
Yes.
penny?
Yes.
At one time?
Yes.
Before would they, ATM machine?
ATM machine.
There's not a limit on an ATM machine that would limit that withdraw
I know, like
funds?
my personal bank account, I can only do 600 cash out of the ATM. I don't know if that is the same with those, I don't know.
That would be my concern there, because if they just say, a lot of people, I'm sorry, Shelby, a lot of people want their cash in hand, from
Right.
what I've been told.
Right.
And that would be limiting them to their funds. If they go to an ATM machine and they go try to take out $800, $900, they're limited to $500 or $600, that would be limited to their money. I wouldn't agree with that.
My question then is, does some of those cards, when they go to cash them, they charge them so much to go to cash?
Yeah.
I don't know, I couldn't answer that. I would imagine that Walmart and HEB are charging you to cash their checks anyways.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people cash a check to everybody.
It would just simplify, and the auditor and I both have kind of wanted this issue for a while. And I thought we'd try it one more time.
But the current ones that we, like it was in February, you said,
Yeah, I think it's February.
but we grandfathered everybody that was old employees that didn't want to do it. Now we're going to have to change that to the current, you want everybody to do it, right?
Yes, we would like that to happen. Because it's gonna simplify everything with the new system that we're going to. We're gonna be either direct emailing the direct deposit slip to their department head if they don't have an email, or directly to your own personal email account.
Does that reloading card cost at Walmart?
It's like $4.
And is that the same card you use like all the time
Yes.
for years?
Yes.
As long as
Yeah.
you don't lose it.
As long as you don't lose it, yeah.
Thank
And I'm
you.
sure there's a way to replace it if you do lose it.
If you have a bank account, of course, you probably have to pay some service fees on that.
I bet if you're cashing your check at Walmart or HEB, they're gonna charge you a certain
My concern is only
percent.
if they want all their cash and they're limited to their cash and it's Friday
Well, they're
night
gonna
when they
get
get.
600 today, and tomorrow at midnight, they're gonna get another 600.
But if, say they're leaving town or something, they need all their
Las
cash.
Vegas.
Well, there's ATMs all over.
And I think you can use them just like you would your debit card when you buy groceries or whatever. It's the same thing.
It's just like a checking account.
It's just, yeah, it's the same thing.
You gotta sign off on the same
I'm
thing.
opposed to it, and I've heard from two employees who said they didn't want to change it. And I'll tell you this, if it's voted, make it direct deposit, I can do that. But you're gonna have to mail me a statement every week so I can see what my deductions are and all those.
No, we can do that, yes. If you do not have an email, we're really gonna try to do the email, but we already mail direct deposit slips as it is. Or unless you're, have a department head that picks up checks, we put them in separate envelopes and then we send them to them. And the people that, like Tracy, I think we mail his in the mail, and Shelby's, I think we mail his too, right?
Email.
Or
Either
email.
way.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry, I know it will simplify things for you and everything, but I think we should keep it the way it is. And I agree with Pete.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to disapprove the mandatory direct deposit county employee payroll for all county employees.
I'll say.
All in favor? Opposed? Aye.
okay, thank you.
Passes 3-2. Or
Fails.
fails 3-2. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna hand you this, but I didn't sign when technical sheet.
Any treasurer report?
I believe everyone has theirs. Shelby, did you get yours? It was a pretty big docket. I wasn't sure if you would get it.
Good.
I gave it to the judge. I gave it to Erica.
Did you put it?
I gave it to Erica Wednesday.
Very end. Last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sheet.
Sorry. I don't have my glasses, I have an excuse.
Can't borrow mine from him.
Well, no, I don't need to.
He's got mine too.
I've been like this all day.
Yeah, it sucks to get old.
I know. I only had one pair left, but I was playing with the kids and I put some fake eyebrows on it. I'm not bringing those in. That's the only one I had left. is there anything you guys point out here?
No. I think I mentioned last month about the time warrant on the bank board, we had paid off the wheel roller on that.
One of you reviewed the treasury report too.
I have reviewed it, the Road and Bridge special account, I believe, that shows a negative 8861. That error has been located, itemized, and has been corrected in August by a journal entry. I have not confirmed any of the cash account balances, knowing that the outside auditors are still reviewing the bank reconciliations that were not current. But I can confirm that the outside investment balances are correct.
Here. The only problem I have, I want to sign noting I've received this thing. But in view of the difficulties the auditors are having, I'm having a little trouble signing this thing and approving and saying that I'm verifying, as we're all swearing to, that it's true and correct. I don't know. Commissioner Randy, I'll feel about that.
Last one I got signed, received. I received not that I approved.
I don't have a problem approving it, but I mean, it's all correct,
Well, there's still that $50,000 difference between the bank has $50,000 more than what our system has, yes, and I think that's what he's referring to.
Well, not exactly. But I'm just,
being that there is a difference, Judge, there, is it okay for us to approve this, or?
you can, the commission can do whatever they want to. What I'm gonna do is just write, received on the received and filed. And, as far as approving.
Excuse me,
Just a minute.
I could be wrong, but y'all been approving all these months.
That's
And
correct.
it hasn't been right all these months, so now it is time to start thinking about, what do you do, approve it or
That's
don't
right.
approve?
Now that I've been made aware of the fact that the documents may not be correct, I don't know if they are or not. I mean, I think it's kind of strange that they get county commissioners and judges say, hey, we verified this is all correct. There's no way we could even know it without a thorough
Why we need our complete audit,
research of the.
complete full audit.
And it's just the statute tells you that, I put that.
I know,
because the
I'm
statute-
not
Yeah.
saying
right.
that you shouldn't be asking for it.
Right,
So
right,
that statute requires that language.
yes.
It
yeah.
does say verified, because, they don't have time to do
Modifying
that.
it
It should
to
say approved
I would go back and.
and subject to audit.
What I do, the form that they sign is where I got from the county auditor, county treasurer when I first came into office. That is the form that she did. And was there, she's retired now for 20-something years. So that is, I put a lot of those on her. We can go back and.
Might check that
Language and see.
Yeah. Because verified, when you're sitting up there, is a little tough to do.
Right.
Perhaps we can sign approving this thing and then just make it subject to audit.
Subject to audit.
I'll do the simplest
And we
way.
can, and you can write that in and I'll sign that and.
I think I will.
Until that's done, I can add that verbiage if I need to.
Got a motion, Judge?
Yes,
I'll second it.
I'm going to put where it says in finding the same correct, I'm going to put subject to audit results. And then
And then once y'all sign it, if I could have a copy of that for my files.
approving said report is done.
Yeah, he'll pass that down to y'all, the one that he's changing now. Right with the red pen, that's Luana's pen.
Hard to blue.
We don't have to sign that top sheet,
Okay.
please.
Initial next to those in the extras.
You got to sign that top one too. Then I'll get a copy from you.
Email.
Email, either way.
Right now, pass this around, I'll use. Payment of bills.
Oh, I'm still not done, sorry.
Oh.
Just remind everyone that open enrollment is on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week from 9 to 11 on Tuesday and 1:30 to 3:30. Please let your staff be there. There are forms that they need to sign saying yes, that is what they want on their insurance. They don't want any changes or anything. Wednesday's from 9 to 11. I don't really know who to present this to, so I'm going to present this to the board. I'm sure most of y'all are aware of the GEO funds that we get from to the county. Basically, we're the middleman. They're a private facility, and they can't have a government contract. And earlier this week, Michelle had me send some money back because we hadn't gotten billed, or it was sent in earlier in the month. So I went back and kind of looked at some of the monies that we had gotten and when they were actually dispersed. Some of them are small amounts that don't amount to a whole lot. There was one deposited in the bank on April 29th for $753,000 plus, and the date of disbursement wasn't until June the 6th. So I don't know if we need to get on GEO about getting those bills to us quicker, because we are responsible for making sure that money that's deposited into our bank is collateralized. And that throws us into a higher bracket, and the bank already screams at us if we have too much money in there now. So I don't know if the commissioner's court, if the judge could help with this a little bit. And we turned that money, we had the money sit back on Monday. And Wednesday, she gets an email from GEO, oh, here's your invoice. And she had been after him several times to get the invoice, because that was like $32,000 that was deposited on August 4th, and another couple of ones for a couple of $100 on August the 5th. So we just need something to give.
I agree with you. I think that contract needs to be revisited, however we do it, because I know it takes a lot of your time.
No, it's not my time. It's more the auditor's
I know, but it's
time.
the county time that
Yes.
that we're doing for them. We're doing their accounting.
Right, and we're responsible
and
for that
we're not
money.
getting anything for it other than just the pass through.
Well, and the sad part is, a lot of times the original invoice that they submit for the judge's signature to be able to bill ICE or the US Marshals or whomever, when we get the payment, they've made alterations to it. Well, we can't issue that reimbursement or payment to GEO until we have a correct invoice.
Yeah, because we're not going to send money that's more than what the invoice is, because that's county money.
And
That's happened before.
whoever succeeds me, whether it's Maurice or Walter, is probably gonna have the same degree of difficulty signing off on these. You won't believe it. It's
Yes.
extremely long, detailed invoices that are being sent to the federal government. GEO sends me, says, sign here. And,
And you don't
I
know.
feel exposed to federal liability or criminal violation if I sign something that's not accurate.
And sometimes we get a single deposit, it's like $1,076,000.
And so it really makes me in trouble. And Walter, Maurice, whoever wins, needs to think about that. Because I think the one advantage we had getting out of GEO all this time is they were housing our excess inmates. Well, that's just.
But once you get your jail, we're not going to.
Yeah, no, I know. They still are, but I'm saying that ought to be.
If we have overflow, we still got good bids.
I hope that they would keep those beds, because remember, we sign on under jailer classes. zero.
Well, they'll have to keep those beds through the contract.
They can't operate unless they're under the sheriff's.
And we're not, and I don't want to get rid of that contract, I just want more timeliness, because we're responsible for that money. And if it takes a month for them to get that invoice, that's ridiculous.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying anything about terminating the contract or whatever, but one of the big advantages we got out of that, other than employing most people, I think that's the main reason people did it initially, is it gave us extra beds for the sheriff's department. And it put some people to work here. This is long before the oil and gas people came here and snapped up every employee that you want anyway. But now, you know, we don't really need the employment, and we don't, with the new jail, I'm assuming you're not gonna need any more beds.
You don't know?
You never know.
You never
I mean,
know.
unless we have
He's
a
not
big
safe.
crime outbreak, but it seems like that won't happen. So
Still gonna use the beds and rent ours out?
I think, wherever my successor is, you might want to see about revisiting that whole issue. As far as getting more responsible, if you're having trouble on a given occasion and neither you nor Luana can get them to snap to, I mean, I'm probably not as fast signing the massive invoices they send me to sign and pass on it. But,
Well, I just wanted the court to be aware, especially when there's really large deposited. And sometimes it's really quick. You know, they get them in, the money gets deposited in, within a few days, she gets that invoice and we sign off and they're done.
so the money comes in here and then we send it right
Correct.
to somebody
That's
else.
the ideal situation if we've got the correct invoice to be able to issue the check. But if the invoices that we've previously received don't match the amount of the electronic deposit, then Geo has to trace and figure out what's the difference and then get us revised invoices.
Yeah. Plus, we're using our staff, our checks, our stamp.
Pain.
Most of these from the new facility or the old facility?
Kind of
Combination.
depends.
Because the old facility's got the new business manager.
Just
So
recently,
that would
yeah.
be rapid.
I don't know how they can calculate it all, to be honest with you. When I look at those invoices,
I used to, that's what I used to
it's
do.
massive paperwork. You probably use more accounting time than they do jailer time out there. It's unbelievable. Okay.
All right, one more. Sorry. Just, want to go back and review the June report just a little bit. At first, the books weren't closed until the night before, and I really didn't have an opportunity to look at it. The only thing I really looked at was to make sure the outside deposits were done, and I don't have copies for you too. If you look on the first report, the receipts was $2,650,000 plus. The disbursements was $3,251,000. That was the first report that I presented to Commissioner's Court. It was not approved because the outside investments, the receipting of the outside investments were done incorrectly by myself, and I did not do anything with the June ones. So Michelle reopened the books, the auditor's also reopened the books for us to get it corrected. So I didn't really pay attention to the receipts, but on the second page, until after Judge Butler kind of questioned me about the receiving and the depositing. Do I actually deposit $46 million? And I was like, no, sir. Sometimes it's direct deposit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so I went back and looked that the receipts now are $30,777,000 and the disbursements for $31,262,000 plus change. So I went to Michelle and asked her, you know, what's the difference is, because I think when we opened the books, and within 2 or 3 weeks later, they're closed again. There was some activity done that I was not made aware of. And she said, well, probably some journal entries, you'll just have to look. And that was the only response I got. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I was not made aware of any changes, corrections that I needed to be made. I think that's a pretty big difference from $2 million to $30 million in the receipts. Now,
Thanks, ma'am.
All right. Payment of bills.
Okay, for the payments payments to be issued today. At the bottom of the very first page, the last entry, you'll notice a payment to Seeking HR. That's for our salary survey, $31,693.80. On page 2, third entry from the bottom is an autopsy expense we had for $2,300 to Bear County medical examiners. On page 3, under capital outlay, $17,412.17 is for the EMS building and redesign of the building. We have a payment to MJ Boyle for $954.18 on the courthouse phase 1A. We have a payment to Daly and Spear Architects for $17,792.82 on the jail facility. And then there is $1,593.75 to Tyler Technology on the in-process conversion of all the financial packages for the county. You go to page 10, which is the second page of road and bridge expenditures. There's a $25,000 expenditure to Listica Construction Company for the Eclato Bridge repairs. All other payments this cycle are of the normal activity. Total for this cycle is $375,089.36.
Make the motion to pay the bills as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Thank you,
With that, I believe the business and commercial report is concluded. I want to thank you for all attending and participating with us.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Remember when we did our budget last